Yeah, because last I heard you were moving or in the process of moving.
Right. I mean, I feel like I have like a little bit of Sagittarius in me somewhere because like just the slightest inconvenience, I'll just pack up my shit and like want to leave.
Is that a Sagittarius thing? I
I
don't know.
guess
Is that
so.
like
One
that's
of my
the
exes was a
astrological
Sagittarius.
signs?
Yeah.
Okay.
One of my exes was a Sagittarius and he was very much that way.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Can't
you
be
know.
tied down.
Yeah, right. But yeah, so I'm trying to stay here in Humboldt for a while
Do you
and
want to stay
just
here?
I mean, I do and I don't because like, like it's easy here, like I'm
It's
used
comfortable.
it's comfortable,
Yeah.
exactly. Well, not per se comfortable, but I definitely say easier being here than elsewhere because, all of us like Humboldt folk that grew up here have been here like all our lives. So, getting out is a little bit difficult, especially after the whole like especially now with, the world still upside down. Who knew that it would last this long, huh?
I would not have guessed.
I know. And
I don't think anybody would have called it.
it's been over a year since we last did this.
Has it since you've been on last? It's
Yeah.
been over a year?
Yeah,
Wow.
like a year and a month, I think.
Wow, I would have guessed 4 or 5 months.
No,
Tops.
it's been
Wow.
like a year.
How crazy is that?
Yeah.
And we're still pretty much where
The
we
same
were.
place, yeah.
Yeah. If nothing else, I feel like the world's actually gotten crazier,
Oh, absolutely.
which is a scary thought.
Yeah. I'm honestly at the point where I'm like, you know what? If the world burns, the world burns. I'm just going to let it do its
You're just
thing.
gonna ride it out.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm worried. I feel like we are not going in a good direction. I feel
Oh,
like
no, not at all.
we're falling apart.
Yeah. But hey, what can a trans girl and a bearded guy do about it,
I like how my quality is the beard. I could live with that. I don't know. I don't know what anybody can do about it is the thing.
Exactly.
Except for just
It's
ride it out and
Yep.
see what happens.
That's pretty much all we can do right now. It's like, oh, the house is already on fire. I mean, we can try and get the family and kids out, but
Have you seen that meme where it's the house is on fire and there's like a dog sitting in the kitchen? He's like,
this is
I'm fine.
fine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is fine. And it's like, it's not. It's
No,
not.
it's
Though.
not fine. But, like to each their own. Unfortunately, the people who are getting their own are not the good people in the world right now.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I was looking at moving. I've been looking at moving. I say comfortable being here because you're right. It is easier. It's
Yeah.
easier to just stay with your game plan, stay with what's normal,
Exactly.
than to try to break out of that bubble and do something
Yeah.
else.
And I mean, it's easier trying to like move out of Humboldt when you're like fresh out of high school. Like all those lucky people who got to like dip for college and like stay gone. And I'm like so envious, but you know what? It is what it is. But I'm like, I recently came across a large sum of money. And so I'm like, well, I do have the ability to get out of town if I want to.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, do I want to use this money or invest this money? Because honestly, at this point, I'm like, maybe it would be best if I invest it because I don't know. I feel like a lot of people are going to start hopping on that bus, and I want to get on it before them and get the good seat.
You should talk to Haley Lamb.
Oh God,
She's my go-to person for all of that, for
yeah.
sure.
I mean, I have a friend who lives here in Humboldt, and he's been like secretly like bossing it up, and he's like buying himself a private jet and stuff, and I'm like, all right, well,
Damn.
I don't know how you did that. I thought you only owned like a fitness studio or whatever, but guess you owned a whole lot more than that. So, yeah.
What did you didn't rob a bank or anything?
No,
Okay.
I did not. Personally, I am not capable of such things. I just be like,
We'll never say never.
right. Well,
I mean, with the state of the world, it might get a little...
right. But we're also on camera, so I'm like, can't
True.
say too much.
That's also true.
Can't say too much.
Yes. Can you say what you did?
Oh, yeah, my dad passed away and I got his like the what's it called?
Inheritance.
Kind of,
Kind
yeah.
of.
The money from the estate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh shit, I'm sorry to hear that.
Oh, it's okay. It was like he passed away, I think, a few days either before or after we recorded the first podcast that I was on.
Oh wow.
Yeah, something like that, because it was October 20th. that
Is
he
when
had
we did the
passed.
last one.
No, October 20th was when
Oh,
he
he
passed,
passed.
and it
Okay.
was sometime in October that we did the last podcast. But yeah, so he passed away, a year of dealing with like lawyers and stuff and all that, and my little brother who lives in Alabama, where my dad was, like just dealing with all that is finally over. And so very happy that that's all said and done with and I can just move on. So
I'm guessing it was kind of intense.
it wasn't intense, but it was just frustrating because like all throughout me growing up, my dad lived in Alabama, and so therefore he adopted the mindset as well of people who live in Alabama, and just a lot of friction within like the our relationship and stuff. And it got to the point where we had just like cut ties completely with each other. We weren't talking. And then he got really, really sick. And this was like 2 years ago, like a year before he actually passed. And I finally was like, okay, you know what? Be the bigger person, try to reconnect, see what happens. And we reconnected, things got better, relationship wise, but his health kept getting worse. So, yeah. And then, he passed, which happens when you're like super, super sick and literally on your deathbed. And he passed of COVID related complications. And my stepmom, 2 months before him, also passed, but she passed of COVID specifically. So, my little brother, who's 13, he lived with them because he was the product of my stepmom and my dad in Alabama. And so now he's like Batman, doesn't have any parents, and also just got a ton of money. So, we'll see what happens.
Oh shit! Is he
Yeah.
gonna stay with a relative or?
His older brother, who is my stepbrother, he's living with.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's 26 and my little brother's 13. So imagine
Whoa.
being almost your age and having a 13-year-old.
I can't. I couldn't. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, a middle schooler.
Yeah.
And you have to take care of it. No thanks.
Were they close?
The two of them?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
they lived together.
Okay,
So,
that helps.
yeah. Yeah.
Damn, that sucks. I'm sorry to hear that.
I know, yeah, it's like cool. My little brother's like, well, luckily my dad set up the will really good where neither of us can touch our money until we're 21, and I just turned 21 last month. So my little brother has like a whole bunch of years before he can touch
That's
it.
probably
So
a good thing.
he can't be too stupid with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, cuz they split the will up like 80%, 20%, 80 to my little brother and 20 to me. And so I'm like, damn, then he's getting a lot. But whatever. Good for him.
It's
you
part
know?
of life sometimes, right?
Right. It's like, you know what? At least I got handed a card. It may have not been the best in the deck, but I still got one. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what have you been using the money for?
I have
you
not
touched it at all?
I haven't
No.
gotten it yet.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a recent development, but soon. So, yeah.
That's exciting. Unfortunate and exciting.
Right. And like I said, my plan is to like pay off my car, pay off my phone and my tablet, and just like try to get my monthly bills as low as possible, and then use that money to get my own place and also invest it so that way I will be able to like grow money, because Bitcoin is very much a thing right now. And one of my mom's friends actually had a financial advisor a few years ago tell her to get Bitcoins. And so she bought one when Bitcoins were like $5,000 and 15, like individually. And so now she has two whole Bitcoins and like over almost like she has almost like $200,000 from just
Jesus.
sitting on those. So I'm like, well,
Investing's not looking too
goddamn.
bad.
I know, exactly. And it like I'm sure you remember as well when Bitcoin first like started coming out and everybody was like, what is this?
They were just giving it away.
Literally, yeah. And I'm like, wish I
And
would have
now I
hopped
think
on
it's
that.
God, I think it's like 60 something thousand right now.
It's about 70.
Is it 70?
It's
Wow.
about 70. Yeah, and it just keeps going up and up.
That's so crazy. I don't understand any of that, and I'm afraid to dive into it because I think it's going to consume me.
Yeah, I don't quite understand it either, but I know that like if you invest in Bitcoin itself, then you'll basically be good just like, I don't know. It's complicated, but I have friends who understand it. And I'm like, that's good enough for me. If they can tell me what to do with my money and I'll be as successful as them, that's great.
It's a go-to.
Excellent. Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like we're all kind of at that age now where investing's looking pretty good. I have a lot of friends that
Yeah,
are like, "Oh, I'm getting into investing." I'm like, "What?" I feel like we all just got bit by some bug at the same
exactly.
time.
And it's like living in Humboldt, you don't come on money. Like this is not the place where you make a lot of money, especially after the weed industry was legalized. It's like
Yeah.
people don't make money here anymore, or rarely ever, unless you're one of these freaking like construction workers. I was talking to one of them at 707 a few days ago, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm on storm pay, and they're paying me like 60 an hour."
Wow.
60 an hour? Are you kidding me?
I need to get
I
into construction.
I'm a caregiver for adults with developmental disabilities, and one of my clients will literally like um sorry HIPAA, but well, I'm not saying names, so it's good. But uh like one of my clients will literally like chase staff with butcher knives, and like we can't do much about it. We just kind of have to like, run away and not get killed for 14 an hour. That's minimum wage.
Yikes.
I'm making minimum wage to possibly lose my life. Cool. Excellent. Love that for myself. But you know what? It's a job. And right now I just don't have the mental capacity to learn another one.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And it keeps you on your toes.
yeah.
Not getting stab's a pretty good motivator.
Right. I mean, if I have if I end up getting into a relationship with a crazy man, I'll be set. I'll be ready. I'll be prepared.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I
That's
mean,
crazy.
I guess it
60 an
has.
hour is insane.
I know. And I'm like, and it's like storm like hours or whatever. So, like, the storm isn't always happening where you're at, but you're just like basically on call. And so you're just sitting there doing nothing and getting paid 60 an hour in like 16-hour shifts. Like, are you kidding? That's not fair. That is a scam. That's a scam.
Especially today, it was so nice out. Like
Yeah.
there's no storm.
What's that about?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm when I turned 21, I was like, I can socialize now, finally being able to go out to the bar. So I've been doing that a lot. Not even to like get drunk and go crazy and stuff, but just to like meet people. But yeah, a lot of like PG&E and like linemen and construction workers and stuff come through all the time. I mean, what else do they do? Nothing. But work and drink. So, But talking with them and hearing like how much they get paid, I'm like, that's not fair. I mean, and they're like, well, I have to work in the rain. And I was like, yeah, but do you get chased by crazy people with knives? No. You get chased by, I don't know, your coworker with a shovel who's just pranking you or something.
Kind of a difference.
A lot of a
Yeah.
difference. A lot of a difference. But, America.
I forgot that you're 21.
I am.
I forgot that. I always think that you're right up there with me, but you were 2 grades behind me, right?
I graduated in 2018.
Okay, yeah. I graduated 2016.
I see.
I think, yeah. That sounds right.
Yeah, my 4 year of like fourth year of not being in high school is in June, and I'm like, Jesus Christ. I could have had like a master's degree in something by now, but oh well.
That's
There's
a crazy thought.
There's always time to go back to school.
Yeah. Is that something you want to do?
I mean, not normal college per se.
Normal college per se.
Yeah, like trades. Well, like normal college would be like a university, stuff
Like a
like that.
standard 4-year.
Exactly. I'd rather do something like a trade. And specifically, I've been looking at like doing nails, like cosmetology, being a nail technician, because really easy schooling, not very expensive, and you can make a lot of money at it if you know how to play your cards right, and if you're smart and also talented. Hello, smart and talented, sitting right here. So, yeah.
That would be cool.
Right.
We have a college here for that, don't we? Like
We
a
do.
beauty school? Okay.
Frederick and Charles.
Yeah.
It's not too far away from Eureka High, actually.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah. It's weird because, like, looking at it from the outside, you wouldn't be like, oh, that's a beauty school. Because it looks like just a normal, weird building in Humboldt. So,
I think I know a few people who went through that program
yeah.
and liked it.
Emily and Paige were two of the ones who went through it.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think they were in your graduating class.
Yes.
Or you're ahead of you. I'm not sure.
No, I
But
think they were in my class.
yeah. Just saw Emily the other night.
Really?
Go figure, at the bar.
How's she doing?
She's doing great. I think. I don't know.
Okay.
I didn't. You know what? Alcohol does something to you. You know?
Yes, that's a
But,
fact.
Yeah. It was cool to see her again. I
Oh,
haven't
that's
seen her in a long
cool.
time. But
It's weird going to the 707 because it's kind of like a little mini reunion.
literally, I
Yeah.
always tell people that. I'm like, going to 707 is literally like a high school reunion. And it's so funny. The people that I see there and the secrets that I know about them, I'm like,
Oh no.
oh, ooh, if only I knew you wouldn't hate crime me, I would be blabbing my mouth all over the place, because some of this is juicy, but you know what? That's a story for another time.
Oh man.
That's a bar story.
Old drama.
Not necessarily old drama, but old drama that became ironic in nowadays. Let's just say there are people who would bully me in high school that are now sliding up into my DMs and trying to get with me. I'm like,
That's gonna be a weird feeling.
it is. It's like, I don't know. It's like somebody going and cutting you and then putting the Band-Aid on you as well. And it's like, that's really weird. I don't like you doing this. It's that wasn't the best metaphor, but that's okay.
No, that was intense. Which I feel like is I get the comparison, right? Because
Well, to be fair, I'm literally a completely different person than I was in high school. Like, I've quite literally transformed. Like, I am in the middle of physically transforming. So, yeah, I've been on estrogen and testosterone blocker for 7 or 8 months now.
oh,
So
wow, what is that like?
it depends on the person who's taking it, because it messes, like, it has to do with like your genetic code and stuff. So like, if you're like, say for you, if you were to take estrogen and testosterone blocker, it probably wouldn't like have as much of a feminizing effect on you, just because you're naturally a very masculine looking person. But for me, it's like I'm like a little bit like in the middle. So it's not doing a whole lot, but it is definitely doing something, you know? But then there are other trans women who are naturally very feminine, like even before their transition, looking, sounding, acting, and they like transition and you wouldn't even be able to guess. So it's different for everybody, but for me so far it's been going really well. I haven't had any issues or problems with it, so it's just popping some pills in the morning and at night, and then I'm good to go. So,
And I would imagine that when you start taking those has an effect too. Like if you're younger, like
well, I like, for younger individuals, the process is not as easy to get started with, just because you are a child. You're still learning about like living. Um, but it definitely helped that I was like 20 and decided to start this transition, quite literally, because the doctors were like, okay, you know what you're doing. And also my doctors have known me for a really long time. So they're like, yeah, this makes sense. And so they were just like, sign the prescription, and I was good to go. And I was like, cool. But for other people, it's not as easy. They have to do like psychiatric evaluations to like, for a psychiatrist to actually like see if they're like trans and stuff, to like see if that identity like lies within them and stuff. And it's a whole roller coaster. And honestly, with everything going on in my life, I haven't been able to like research other people's stories a whole bunch more, because not because I don't want to, but because like I don't want to put my expectations for my transition, or set my expectations for my transition based on other people's experiences, because I was told from the get-go everybody's experiences are different. So it's interesting, but there's a lot of different things that happen. So like, there's female to male trans individuals, and then male to female. I am male to female, but for male to or for female to male, there are certain things that when they transition, you'd think like the reverse would happen for the other side of like being female to male or male to female, but they don't. So like, for example, for somebody who is female to male, when they're taking testosterone, it widens their vocal cords, and so their voice gets deeper. And you'd think it would be the reverse for trans girls, but it's not actually. So estrogen doesn't make your vocal cords tighter and make your voice higher. You have to like just train your voice to like sound more feminine. So it's really interesting, the differences between uh the two different forms of transitioning, or the two most common forms of transitioning, because there are like trans non-binary individuals who will like kind of like float in between. And gender's a spectrum. I don't know what's going on that spectrum. I only live in my little bubble for right now. But
So are the changes, I was going to say, is it easier, but I feel like, are the changes more apparent when you're going from female to male just with testosterone?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the changes are a lot more prominent. Um well, I mean, it depends on what category you're looking in, because there are like different things like that will change. So for example, if you're transitioning from male to female, your body hair will become thinner, like a thinner consistency or texture and stuff. You'll have less acne, and well, these are things that I've been experiencing, and a whole like multitude of different things. So I don't know. It's interesting to like see like what things come with it, because like I said, I didn't look into it a whole lot. I just kind of like, this is what I want to do, this is who I am, and I'm gonna do it and just go for the ride. you
Mm-hmm.
know like, you don't, well, I mean, that's not a good expression, but for me it was like, I don't like looking at a roller coaster before I go on it. I want to be
You want to
surprised.
just do it.
Yeah, I just want to do it. So, you know.
And so you were taking testosterone blockers
hmm
and estrogen.
Correct.
Okay.
And they kind of work hand in hand in that, um, just taking estrogen would create a more androgynous effect on
Because you're getting
somebody.
both of those.
Yeah,
Okay.
because your body's naturally creating testosterone, and you're also getting an estrogen supplement too. So you'd have both running around in your body. But with the testosterone blocker, it's kind of like putting like putting a wall up, or putting a dam up on the flow and of like water, and then letting the estrogen like do its thing. So it like kind of like keeps the testosterone away, so that way the estrogen can just like kind of take over.
Now, if you take it for long enough, will your body naturally stop producing testosterone?
No,
You'll have to continually take
I
the
have to
blocker.
I have to take testosterone blocker and estrogen for the rest of my life.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I don't have to, but I want to. So, yeah, none of this is like required, because like it's not life threatening when it comes to like the physical health of a human being. And it's the same way with the surgeries and stuff too. That's why the surgeries for transitioning are so complicated and expensive, because as you know, they're female to male trans individuals that we've gone to school with, or people who have gone uh, in similar directions as to that. I don't know what it is about Humboldt, but there's a lot of male to female or female to male trans individuals, like trans guys
I did
here.
not know that.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I guess it's not really a culture you're particularly invested in,
Well,
but
I'm not really. I
surrounded
like,
by.
yeah, I do the podcast, I work out, and I go to work. Like, I
Right.
don't really get,
Yeah.
I'm not out hitting 707 or anything all the time to like
Right.
run into a bunch of people.
But yeah, it's just like, it's an interesting process, and the surgeries are very like extensive. It's not as easy to be able to, because like pretty much the only place to have like gender affirming surgeries is at UCSF, and they have a huge waiting list that can take like a year to 2 years for you to actually like have a surgery. And then also, like, not all insurance companies cover it either. So sometimes you, like, if you really want to do it, you have to pay for the surgery yourself. And so it's crazy. It's a lot.
And so that's your plan, is to have the, I'm guessing the bottom surgery is what you're referencing.
Um, Personally, I don't know. that's like, I don't know. I'm still figuring that all out, but we'll see what happens. Well, I mean, I'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I don't know who else is going to be seeing what happens. Hopefully, not too many people.
And so what sparked this? Because last time we talked, was this kind of in the back of your mind? Were you kind of thinking about
Yeah.
doing this?
So
Okay.
I came out in March, I think, of this year, but I had been seriously thinking about it and accepting it for about a year before that. Um, and just kind of like mentally preparing myself. And also, when I first like started like really thinking about it the year before I actually came out, that was a time where like attacks on trans women and trans individuals were running rampant throughout the US. And like it still is, it's just not televised and stuff as much, but it was really, really bad then. And so I was honestly scared. I was like really nervous about like coming out and transitioning and stuff because I didn't know how people would react. And so I waited for a long time, and I wish I didn't because, I could have gotten a lot of this process done already. But in the I'm glad that I like came out when I did though because I've been surrounded by nothing but support. So,
Oh, that's good.
yeah. And then those who don't support don't stick around very long. Not because they don't want to, but necessarily because I don't want them to. So,
Well, yeah, you got to cut toxic people out of your life, right?
absolutely, which a lot of people are not that good at. But I've noticed that like as I've gotten older, I'm like life is too short to be caring this much about what other people feel and want. It's like I am the most important person in my life. I need to take care of what I want and what I need and to do the best that I need for myself. And if I have room and the ability to help others, then I will. But I'm always the number one focus in my life.
I think that's the secret to happiness right there.
Absolutely.
Because if you're trying to please everybody around you, it's going to be a long road.
Absolutely. Yeah, it can be very rough, but I'm I'm doing what's right for me.
And so you were thinking about this for a year before you kind of came out.
Yeah, but I've had mingling feelings of this ever since like middle school.
Really?
Yeah. They just never fully manifested themselves until about like 2 years ago. Um
And so
but
what changed 2 years ago?
So when I was growing up, there was like a 4-year period before I started doing drag where I was like just expressing myself really femininely and like I don't know, I didn't have my identity on lock yet. And then I found drag and I was having all of these feelings of femininity and stuff and I found drag and I was like, "Oh, this makes sense. This is what those feelings were about." And then I continued to do drag and I was having fun with it. And then those feelings kept coming back and back and back. And I was like, okay, so this is not what these feelings actually meant. And so I like continued to like look into myself and stuff and try to figure it out. And finally I was like, yeah, like I am a woman. Like that is me. And so I started my transition process earlier this year and now I'm like just powering through it.
Did you get a lot of hate when you announced it?
No,
Okay.
not when I announced it, but as like I went in from the LGBTQ dating world into like the straight dating world, that was a culture shock for sure. That was interesting. Because like just I always heard like the horror stories and like the terror and fear that like all my cisgendered girl like friends had towards like guys and stuff and like all the stuff that they had gone through and I was like, it won't be that bad. Like the queer community's horrible too, so it's like whatever. Like everybody's messed up. But um I was not prepared. I was like, damn, this is a different world. This is a different ballpark, different sport.
Oh no, meaning what?
Like, I just wasn't prepared for like the customs of the straight dating world and how like straight guys act because while like I don't know, it's just so strange because the way that dating works in the LGBTQ world is so much different than it is in the straight world. And like the expectations are different and stuff. There are some similarities, but it's it's pretty different.
And just like how they approach you, how they come on to you,
How they approach
flirt.
me, how dating is, like dating is completely different. Like it's just like there's different facets to like everything involved. And it's very strange, but I think I've finally gotten a handle on it, and I'm like right now I'm taking a break for myself, figuring myself out, trying to find my own place and just do me for a while and reground myself before I try to like find somebody else, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But it's yeah, dating is weird.
Yeah, that's a fact, right?
Mhm.
That's surprising. I wouldn't have guessed. So even from dating guys before, it's still a change.
Yeah,
Huh.
because um because not a like I don't know why very many people don't realize this, but like as a trans woman, you identify as a woman. And I mean, it like you can be a trans woman and still be attracted to girls and stuff, which I am not personally. I'm attracted to guys, but therefore I am a part of the straight dating world because I'm not going to go after gay guys because I'm not what they're interested in.
Mm-hmm.
They're not interested in girls. So it's like, you know, it's weird. It's strange because it's like this one specific type that I was so used to going after before I came out as trans is like now off
It's
limits.
completely different.
Yeah.
Okay. You're in a
It's
different,
kind of
it's a
like,
different pool now.
yeah, it's like living in one house and then moving into another.
Yeah.
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 It's like
Has
it's still a house, but it's a different
It's a
one.
different house. Has
Yeah.
it been hard trying to find a partner?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um what so it's like it's like all of the letters in LGBTQ are in a race to the finish line, and the finish line is acceptance on all fronts. Gay and lesbian has basically almost reached that finish line. Trans is lingering back in the back. They're not as far along in the race yet. And so, therefore, there's still a lot of uh, misunderstanding, uh, ignorance, known like people not knowing things about it, people not knowing other trans individuals in their life. You know, it's weird because I was used to being accepted, like in the dating world I was in, and then now I'm in this new one where I'm not particularly like an interest of people, you know? um and not for the right reasons, you know, because it's okay to not be interested in people if like you don't have anything in common, or like the other person's an asshole and you don't want to be with them. But it's like it's made me realize uh how like like it just backs up the situation of people wanting that instant gratification. And it's very much the same in the dating world. um
Meaning what?
like they want like a supermodel who's like super thin and or like curvy in like that specific way, and just like exactly the way that like it's in the magazines and stuff. And trans girls aren't in those magazines. There are a few who are like incredibly attractive and have transitioned all the way, which personally love them, love that they're doing that, but also it makes it harder for trans individuals who aren't at that point yet to be able to have the same recognition that they do, because they're getting the spotlight. It's kind of um like uh I can't think of a good comparison to make it make more sense, but it's it's weird how the whole dating world works with being trans, because it's like I know that I'm attractive, I know that I'm a good person, but all of these guys are so hung up on what's in between my legs. And it's like, why though? Why though? Like I understand you're attracted to certain things, but it's it's like I don't know. It's interesting. It shows me um how many guys there are in the world who are so focused on the outer shell rather than what's on the inside. You know, how surface level like a lot of guys are, and how they won't actually invest their time and energy into somebody if they don't necessarily immediately find them attractive, you know? And I don't know, it's strange. It's weird. It's wild. But it's whatever. The right one will come eventually. And I'm good
Yes.
with waiting.
Yeah. That's important. You don't want to
Yeah.
settle.
Yeah, no.
That's a hard ball, right? Are the guys that are pursuing you, are they part of like the LGBTQ community?
No.
No.
Um, there are people who like it's pretty easy to identify the people who like the guys who don't mind that I'm trans and the guys who are attracted to the fact that I'm trans.
Kind of like fetishizing
Exactly.
being trans. Okay.
And that I'm like, okay, like yay, they're attracted to me, but it's not for necessarily the right reasons.
It's not
You
because
know?
of you.
No.
It's like the idea of you.
Exactly. And it links back to the whole like physicality part of it where they're attracted to a certain body type and that's their like most important thing and they don't care about like the personality or how good of like a connection we have, you know? They're just so hung up on the body, like the outer shell.
Well, the outer shell, it does play a role, right?
It does, but what I'm speaking of is the guys that I've connected with and talked to and had a good connection with. And then the moment the moment I tell them that I'm trans, lights out. Like they're like, all right, well, good luck. Talk to you later. Bye. And I'm like, okay, well, there went some time that I could have used towards, I don't know, doing something else. But it's frustrating.
I would imagine.
Yeah, because it's like I understand like I could be passing sometimes. Like there are times where I mean, not like physically I look pretty feminine. I mean, I'd like to think so. Um necessarily in my voice, I don't know if it's very like super like, oh, that's like she's a girl. You know, like it's pretty easily clockable that I'm a trans woman, which is fine with me. I don't care. Um because like I said, the right person will come eventually. Doesn't matter. But it's like there are trans women who are more blessed than I am with being able to be passable as a cisgendered woman. And it's like I don't know, it's weird.
I would imagine it would fuck with you a lot because it's like, especially if you are making connections with these people, it's like, okay, like we have this
Oh,
thing, like maybe
yeah.
a spark or like the inklings of a spark, and then this one thing comes across and it's like, okay, now it's shut, and it's like a constant.
It fucks with my dysmorphia, my trust in people, my ability to communicate with people. Like, it messes with a lot of stuff. And I don't think people really realize that. But also, like, I can't hold that against them because it's like, I like the ones I can't hold it against the ones who are nice about it. There are guys who are like, you know what, like it's just not my thing. I'm just it's just not my thing. They're like like they're not an asshole about it to me. But there are definitely guys who are like, oh, you're a tranny, meh. And I'm like, "Pff, learn a new word. Like I
Yeah, you don't have to be a dick about it.
exactly. But like it just links back to like, you know what, we're all attracted to what we're attracted to, but it'd be nice if it wasn't so surface level all the time.
Yeah, I see it both ways. It's a hard crossroad because surface level at that level, like that does make a difference. Unfortunately or fortunately, depending on how you look at it. But like I could see it fucking with you and like being hard. And like that's a side I
Yeah.
don't know if a lot of people see. I didn't think about that prior to us just talking about it right now, I never really thought about the opposite side. Because obviously, I wouldn't be a dick to somebody if somebody came on to me and they were trans. I wouldn't be a dick about it.
Right.
But obviously, some people are dicks just to be dicks.
Yeah. And then also the other thing that's very frustrating is that when people are dicks to me, I can't really defend myself in the way that they're coming at me, because they won't view that as like a girl defending themselves. They will view that as a trans individual defending themselves, or that's not the right expression or way of phrasing it. But basically what I'm trying to say is that say like a guy comes on to a cisgendered girl and she's like oh, like, get away from me, I'm not interested, and like turns him down hella hard. If a trans girl did that, a normal cisgendered girl, she wouldn't have any issues with it, or the guy wouldn't have any issues with it. They'd be like, oh, that's just a girl. But like cisgendered guy in the role of like going after a trans girl and she defending herself like that too, they'd be like, oh, that's a trans girl thing, and they would like have that view towards all trans women because of their like, I don't know, it's really hard to describe, and I've described it well before, but for some reason I just can't right now. Maybe third time around I'll be able to explain it better.
Nail
but
it.
Yeah, it's
Is it like, I'm trying to think of how it plays out. Because if a girl rejects a guy, it goes one of two ways, right? The guy's nice about it, or the guy's a dick about it.
yeah.
I would imagine that's kind of the same.
Yeah, I just don't think I used the right scenario for the situation I'm trying to explain to make it make sense.
Is it? I could see it in the sense that, like, if a guy comes on to you, right, and he
Mhm.
knows you're trans, and he's coming on to you, and you reject him, I could see that taking a different light of him, like, flipping a switch and being like, oh, well, then fuck you. Like, is
Yeah,
that kind of what you're talking about?
that's fairly similar to what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
Okay.
But it's like the ability to stigmatize and start stereotypes towards trans individuals is a lot easier than it is to do towards cisgendered women, if that makes sense.
Okay.
That's what I'm trying to say. That was a really good phrasing of it. Is that they like, because we're a minority, it's easier to start and create wow, just said the word.
Stereotypes.
There you go. Stereotypes of that of trans individuals. Like it's easier because there's not as many of us. And so they can just have that idea in their head of like, oh, that's how all trans individuals act because they don't interact with many trans individuals in their life.
Oh, so you're feeling like you can't defend yourself because you don't want to get that branding of like,
I don't want to
or
get
have
that
some
branding,
bad
and I don't
branding.
want to brand that onto other trans individuals.
Okay.
Yeah, if that makes sense.
That's a heavy weight to think about.
Yeah, because it's like through my actions, I could get another trans individual hate crimed or possibly worse because I chose to act the way somebody else would act. Like, you just have to think about, for me personally, I choose to think about things a little bit differently because I see what's happening to my trans sisters and brothers in the world, just because they choose to live their life the way that they want to,
Mm-hmm.
in the way that they need to be themselves, you know?
And so when you're talking to someone, is that like,
It's one of the first things that I tell them.
is that, hey, this is
I'm like,
kind of what's going on?
I'm like, hey, I'm trans. Are you cool with that? And it goes like one of three ways. It's either they're not cool with it, they just want to hook up with me to hook up with a trans individual, or they're cool with it. And it's usually the first two. So, oh well.
It's probably safer though doing it that way, right?
Oh,
That
absolutely.
coming out just
Yeah.
right out of the gate.
If any of my trans individuals, like friends, are watching this, please tell the people that you were talking to that you were trans before meeting them, because that is how you, unfortunately, and it shouldn't be this way, but that is unfortunately how like hate crimes happen, is men will not realize that you're trans, and they will meet you, they'll figure it out, they'll get scared, and they'll turn to violence. That's how it 9 times out of 10 happens, unfortunately. And I always tell people, like, tell them that you are trans in the first place. I know you shouldn't have to. I know it shouldn't matter. But in the world we're living in still, it does matter. So,
Yeah, just to be safe, right?
exactly.
Because I could see it. I don't ever think there should be violence involved. Like, if you got somebody back to your place and you found out, like, you shouldn't.
Well, what I think it stems from is them feeling like they've been tricked or forced to be with somebody they don't want to be with, or like feeling trapped. Uh, I don't know. I'm not in their shoes. I'm just trying to think of like the most
Plausible.
plausible thing that they would think of in order to turn to violence. But it's, yeah, just like tell them up front. It keeps you safe. Easy as that.
Yeah, because then everybody knows
Yeah.
what they're getting into.
Yeah,
And it's
because
not.
online when you're texting somebody, you can't hear their voice, and that's usually like the number one giveaway, unfortunately, for
Is the
trans
voice.
women is the voice, because it's harder for us to transition our voices than our bodies. Um like there's no surgery to make your voice more feminine, or at least one that is convincing enough. But again, everybody's different. Everybody wants to transition their own way, which is fine and understandable. Um, but it's over text. You don't get to hear the voice. It's not a dead giveaway. And mind you, I have that I'm trans also in my profiles, which are now deleted, not on dating apps anymore because I'm doing my own thing. But they, I would have it in my profile so that way the people who actually did read them would see it. But also, um, I would still like tell people and be like, if they were interested in hanging out or something, I'd be like, well, just so you know, I am trans. Like, I hope you're cool with that. And that's when it either goes the one of 3 ways. So,
What is the reasoning behind not wanting to tell people? Is it just
um,
like that? Well, you shouldn't have to.
yeah,
Is that line of thinking?
yeah, because like you are like you every like because everybody should accept who you are and who you identify as, and if you're interested or in what you identify as, and if you're interested in somebody, then the like and you're talking and communicating and you like the pictures that you see online and stuff, the like that level of identity shouldn't matter at that point, because you've already established that you're attracted to them by enjoying their pictures and matching with them. You've already started to have a conversation with them that's going well. And so the fact that that is a deal breaker doesn't always make sense, or rarely makes sense, because you've established that you're attracted, you've had a good conversation. It's like, does that body part really hold that much weight in your evaluation of wanting to be with somebody?
And you don't think it does?
I don't think it should,
If you
but
were hooking up with somebody and they had female body parts, would that stop you? Like, if you thought you
so
would, like, say it was a trans
guy.
guy, which would be female to male.
So I do have my types, you know. I'm not attracted to femininity. So whether that comes as a like a guy who's feminine, I'm not attracted to that. If that comes as a girl who's a girl, I'm not attracted to that because I'm not attracted to that femininity. If it's a trans guy, then I am open to being with that person, because sex isn't such a big factor in my life. Like, it's not that important to me. Like, it's like sex is great, sex is awesome. Like, glad to have it. I enjoy it, you know? but it's not such a huge requirement, especially when, there are like, sorry if your parents watch this, but there are
Mom, stop listening.
yeah,
No, just kidding.
there are like sex toys and stuff that you can use to make up for what is not there.
Yeah.
So it's, yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just, there are ways to make relationships work past just like that surface level of what body parts they have, And I mean, when I say that I'm attracted to a certain type of individual, I'm basing that off of who I get along with and who I'm attracted to the most, out of the people who I have interacted with in my life so far. I haven't interacted with every single person on this earth yet. I don't know. There could be a girl that comes along and I'd be like, okay, let's see how this goes. But so far, that has not come yet. So, therefore, I can't, hold that stern, no girls
Yeah,
ever.
like, this is the line.
No girls ever. I can't, that doesn't make sense because I haven't met all girls in the world, So, I don't know. But everybody thinks differently. Everybody has different views and opinions. Obviously, as we've learned throughout the course of the past year and a half, almost 2 years. So it's, I don't know. I'm just another one of those people who's firm in their beliefs. But
Which isn't a bad thing. People have
no,
beliefs. It's just being opened,
totally.
It's interesting in that I've only ever heard the body parts don't matter thing. I've only ever heard that argument from people like in the LGBTQ community.
Right.
I've never heard that from anybody who is not in that community, I guess.
Yeah, because, well, I am a part of the LGBTQ community because I am trans, but
Is that weird to say, like, part of that community? Like,
I mean, kind of, because it's like I said, it's like going from one house and like moving into another.
yeah.
But I'm
Like,
still
you're still just
but
you.
I'm still able to go over to that house and like hang out for a while, you
Yeah.
know? But it's different because like it would be different if I was attracted to girls, because then I would be a trans woman who is also a lesbian as well. But I'm not. In general. Again, haven't met every girl on the planet yet. I loved how I said that just instinctively. Like I'm going to. Sure. But yeah, so like there's nobody other than trans men in or like non-binary individuals. Trans or non-binary individuals are like like non-binary who are masculine are like really the only people in the LGBTQ community that I would realistically see myself being with. But so therefore my main like MO is the straight community. Like I'm just like any other wild girl at the bar who's like, "Hey, you're hot. Let's hang out. Let's chat," But
And so you're attracted to masculinity.
indeed. Yeah.
Do you think it would be wrong if someone said that, like, their quality... Oh, this is not going to sound right, but you got to bear with me because I'm processing an idea here. Would it be wrong if somebody said, "Oh, I'm attracted to people who have the anatomy of a cisgendered female"?
No, not at all.
Okay.
With my whole point of this situation is people who don't say that.
Okay.
So like, or people who haven't actually tried, like I was saying, I've established a good connection with you. We've talked for a while. You like my pictures, I like your pictures. But the whole and there's somebody who has not tried like being with a trans woman, but they're so firmly set on not being with the trans woman just specifically because of that body part, if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah. But if they were to say like, "Oh, I just like, I'm addicted to vagina. I don't know. However they,
Vagina addict.
wherever they want to, however they want to say it, I'm like, you know what? If you're attracted to that anatomy, that is cool because I don't have that. But if you say you're attracted to girls,
Mm-hmm.
hello, like, I am a girl. So
Because
it's
I asked that because I've heard people say that, oh, if you're not attracted to people who have transitioned, then you're transphobic. I don't know if I agree with
no,
that.
that's not true.
Yeah, that's a little bit out
If
there.
if you say that you are like attracted to girls, but you wouldn't date a trans woman just because of the anatomy she has, that is transphobic. If you say you're attracted to girls, if you don't specifically say you're attracted to
Vaginas.
exactly. Because in that sense, you are stripping the woman from a trans woman by doing that. Because you say you're attracted to girls and trans women are women. So if you say you're attracted to girls and you will not be with a trans woman is still like a woman, a girl. So therefore, if you phrase it that way, that is a transphobic way of saying it.
You're like taking them out of the category of being a woman.
Exactly. If you say that you are attracted to women with cisgendered anatomy, like who have a vagina and stuff like that, then that is understandable. That is not transphobic because the factor of being trans is not in that like scenario.
Would it be transphobic if they had the surgery to match whatever they identified as, and then you said?
Well, yeah, because then you're just like, because a trans woman who's fully transitioned and had that surgery doesn't have the body part that you're so afraid of,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
I like how you said that you're so afraid of.
Yeah.
That's I don't know. I get the grouping aspect of it for sure, because they're trying to assimilate or be embraced in the group that they're saying this. Hey, I'm a part of this group,
Right.
and then you're saying, well, you're not really a part of this group, and you're like pulling them out.
Because if you really think about it, when it comes to when it comes to hooking up and you say like, "Oh, I'm not into hooking up with trans girls." That's different than saying, "I don't want to be in a relationship with trans girls." Because then that's just boiling your relationship down to just sex. Because if you're not interested sexually in trans anatomy, that shouldn't block you completely from being in a relationship because that's very shallow. That's just saying like, oh, like that's making, well, I mean, sex is important to a lot of people. I get it. But for me personally, I mean, I'm like, I'd rather just hang out and like get to know somebody than like fuck the shit out of them.
It doesn't have to be purely physical.
Exactly. And it's like a relationship should be more than just physical.
It definitely should be. If your
It's
relationship's
important.
yeah, if it's just physical, that's a problem. But if there's
Yeah.
no physicality, that's kind of a problem too.
Exactly. But if you're looking for a long-term situation, then turning somebody down when all the other factors are there that you like that you enjoy, like good connection, like with clothes on, you think they're attractive because, you know, they're not attracted to a person with a dick. Like with clothes on, they're attractive and you like talking to them, you like hanging out with them, stuff like that. Then that shouldn't, like with all those factors as a plus, but then just that one single negative, I personally find it shallow that that one negative defeats all of those positives. But again, that's just how I operate when it comes to relationships because I invest more than just the sexual aspect into relationships. So
it's a hard point, and we're in a weird time where like it's the battle of ideas in a weird way.
Totally.
And battle of just just humanity in a weird way.
Yeah.
Not to extrapolate it to some huge level, but it is a thing. I don't know if it's I don't know, because I get it. I get if someone was said, I'm not attracted to trans people, and I wouldn't interpret that as transphobic, but I'm not trans, so I don't
Yeah.
know. That's like somebody saying, "Oh, that's not racist," and then somebody from that group being like, "Oh, this was kind of racist." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't even know how to put what I'm thinking into words because I don't think that.
This is really bad phrasing, but it's kind of funny. But it's not as black and white as racism. Like, it's like,
Well, racism's not black and white either.
but yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
saying that racism is absolutely black and white, but transphobia isn't as clear and identifiable at this moment as racism is.
But is it transphobic if you're not attracted to trans people, or is it just like how you're attracted to masculine energy? Wouldn't it kind of be the same thing? Like, oh, I'm attracted to.
I guess it all boils down to the way that you communicate it and the way that you phrase it.
Which makes sense. Because if you're a
Yeah.
dick about it, then you're a dick.
Exactly, because if you're going around telling people, "Oh yeah, I love girls, I love fucking bitches," and it's like, but you don't include trans individuals, like trans women, in that same sentiment, then that doesn't make sense. But if you say, "I am attracted to women that have cisgender anatomy," then therefore that is not transphobic because you are not, because the the category of being trans exists in the category of being a girl, but the category of trans does not exist in the category of having cisgendered anatomy. So therefore the two don't correlate. But if you say that you're attracted to girls and that you're not interested in trans girls, then therefore they correlate, and having those two same things is like a double negative or something like that. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody can have their own views. I don't care. But for me, that's my views.
Yeah.
So
That's interesting. I don't know how.
because so for example, if I was like, when I'm at the bar, if I'm talking to a guy,
Mm-hmm.
I'll bring up that I'm trans, and if they say like, "Oh, I'm only attracted to girls," I'll be like, "Well, hello, I'm a girl." And then that's kind of like me trying
Kind of like
to
a
make
slap in
them,
the face.
it's me trying to make them specify further. So that way the comments like that don't come off so transphobic, because if they said that, like saying that is like to a trans woman's face, that is transphobic, because you're like, "Oh, I'm only attracted to girls. I am a girl."
Would it be better or worse if they said, I'm not attracted to trans people? Whatever way. Would that be a better thing to say or a worse thing to say?
I mean, it's not like, I don't know. I think for that specific thing, I wouldn't mind if they said, "I'm not attracted to trans women."
Hmm.
That I would be fine with. But like, I think the best way to phrase it would be like I don't know. That's a good way to phrase it, I guess, in my book. But again, I can't speak for the
No, yeah, I'm not.
entire
Yeah, I don't want to.
trans community. And that goes for this entire conversation that we've had.
Yes, you were not the spokesperson
No,
for being
I am not the
trans.
mascot.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's, I don't know, dating world's weird.
Dating's weird for everybody. Dating's weird for everybody.
How's dating for you?
Oh.
As you know, I told you, I've seen you on Tinder before.
Yeah, you did say that. Yeah. Yeah, I got to delete it.
Uh-huh.
It's not my thing.
Right.
It's just not my show.
How do you feel about dating in Humboldt?
I feel like it's not my show.
Right.
It's weird because you see people from high school on there and it's like, oh, that's a little weird.
Yeah.
But then you see, it's just weird. I don't think
We're talking about 707 being a high school reunion. No, it's
Yeah.
Tinder. It's
Yeah. Tinder's
Tinder.
the home ground. It's
Yeah.
weird. I think dating in your hometown is weird because you have like these preconceptions about people that you
And everybody knows
knew.
you.
Yeah.
So therefore, it's like if you wanted to date somebody, but you didn't want everybody to like know immediately because it's like, oh, I don't know if I actually want to be with this person for a long time, but you do want to date them to like figure it out, because you don't know if you actually have genuine feelings for somebody like right that moment. It doesn't always work that way. So sometimes you just kind of want to like date somebody in the background and not have the whole world know. But you can't do that in the town that you live in.
Yeah. Word travels fast.
Yeah, it does.
I've never really tried to
Especially
bait.
for me because
Yeah.
everybody knows me.
Yeah. That's a good point. I've never tried to date anybody in the background, I guess, per se. I mean, you keep it low key, but then are you really dating?
Right.
That's what you're talking about is when it's like, okay, it's a little under the table.
Right. But like what I'm saying is like keeping it low key from like the people that know you really well and would be like, "Oh, you're like in a relationship with somebody? Oh my God, that's so cool. Like tell me all about her." And you don't necessarily want to do that because one, you either don't know a whole lot about her yet. Two, you like you don't know if you're going to be with this person for a long time, so you don't necessarily want everybody knowing yet. So it's like
Yeah,
you're
that's a
like
tough spot.
you're still like trying to figure it out, and then it's always awkward when you're like out on a date with somebody and then like somebody comes up and it's like, "Hey, how are you?" And I'm like, "I'm on a date. We'll talk about this later."
Yeah. Or
You know?
you're talking with somebody and then, time passes and you're talking with somebody else and then they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I thought you were with this other person." And you're
Yeah.
like, "No.
I mean, I
No."
absolutely would not date in this town if we didn't have HSU because
Oh,
HSU
okay.
is kind of like the magnet for people from out of town to come here.
Mhm.
So that's nice at least, but honestly at this point I've been like itching to get back down to San Francisco now that I'm 21 and I can actually like go out to bars and meet people. That's another thing that I wanted to say. When you don't go to college, especially in Humboldt, when you don't go to college from the ages of 18 to 21, there is no way to socialize. There is no way to make new friends whatsoever.
Yeah, it's hard without the bar scene, right?
Yeah, and it's hard when you're not in college either
Yeah.
because you're not surrounded by a bunch of people all the time. Like, sure, you can make friends with the people that you work with, but
That's still a relatively small pool.
exactly. And also, like, being friends with the people you work with, no thanks. I mean, sorry if any of my coworkers are watching this, but,
Yeah.
I mean,
It's definitely harder out of high school.
yeah. But also, like, I work with people who are so far removed from, like, my type of life that it's like I just don't associate or, like, uh, I don't have anything in common with any of them because they're like, one's like 30 something with 4 kids and one's like 60. And I'm like, I don't have anything in common with you guys, but we have the same job, so I'll keep it friendly, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's funny seeing because like this whole conversation about dating links back to that situation that I was talking about where people I went to school with who could be so far removed from being interested in me are all of a sudden, now that I'm a woman, are like, "Oh, hey, how are you? Like, you want to go get a drink sometime?" And I'm like, "You called me a faggot in high school. Why would I want to get a drink with you? Like, that's not cool. Why are you hitting on me now? You know who I am."
Do you call them out on that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really funny because they're like, "Yeah, but like I feel bad and I want to make it up to you." And I was like, "Do you feel bad? Because if you did feel bad, you would have felt bad a long time ago."
High school, man. It's a
Mm-hmm.
weird time. And it's weird. It's a hard sell because people do grow up and people do
Yeah,
change. But
in the context of this situation, though, not the way to go about it.
yeah.
If we map, like, so for example, there are individuals who have bullied me in high school or middle school, elementary school, whatever, and then I see them on Tinder and I recognize them. I match with them to be petty and to just make them think they can. And then I'm like, so I get out, like, I turn into like interrogation mode. I'm like, so why did you match with me today? What is it that has changed? And then I like pull it out of them. And I'm like, it's because you're attracted to me now all of a sudden. And you think that everything that happened in the past can just instantly vanish all because of that. No. I don't know. That's just how I feel about it.
No, that's not bad. I mean, if people are... I have kids. Well, I'm weird in the sense that I have people that were assholes to me, but like I'm cool with them now because I just don't have the energy to like. But there's a difference between somebody just being an asshole to you and someone like attacking.
Totally.
Who you are.
And also there's a difference between being cool with somebody after like them
and like wanting to
you.
date them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's a different bar.
And I'm like,
and like try to have a relationship and like be open with them after them being a piece of shit. It's kind of rough.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, that's a little sus. A little sus, my friend.
Humboldt's hard. Humboldt's a hard dating scene.
But I will say there's one individual that we went to school with that I did hook up with just to be petty. I can't say who it is. I can't say who it is. I won't.
Just to be petty.
I have a feeling they watch this too. So if you're watching, you know who you are.
Oh, damn.
But
just to get... And they were an asshole to you
Yeah.
back then.
Don't worry. I don't think that you're friends with this person. I don't think it's any of your friends. But
well, that wouldn't bother... It would bother me if they were an asshole. That would bother me.
Right. But it was interesting. It was pretty funny.
And you did it just to kind of like drive the knife in a little bit and be like, you're a little
I'm like, I have this power over you now. Like, your attraction to me is my power.
Because they were attracted to you now that you've transitioned.
It's like being a supervillain. It's like this is where I get my power source from, is the individual who used to be the villain and is now the victim, per se. But that's just my comical dark humor coming out. So...
Do you feel...
And no, the sex was not good.
Okay, that was going to be my next question. That kind of sucks then. I mean, did you get anything out of it? Other than just the information of, oh, look what... I don't know, that seems... dicey.
I will say that they are a lot more attractive than they were in high school. So, it wasn't as bad as like, oh, like, because like, there is kind of like a fetish for being attracted to like the people like who bullied you in high school. I know that
well, there's like that weird stigma, right? Of like
that's not how it is for me.
Like the girl in high school who's overweight and then nobody talks to her and then she gets out of high school. Yeah,
hot.
She's hot.
Yeah,
and everyone's trying to bang her and she sleeps with.
I'm the LGBTQ version of that. So
there we go. Okay.
Yeah.
Now that we drew that tangent, I can see it. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you feel like you?
It feels like a Disney movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, or like one of those like teen drama shows, you know, that are so overly produced. And it's like, this would clearly never happen in real life. And also like, why do all of these high schoolers look like they're in their 20s, you know? That's what my life feels like right now. And it's so much fun.
And this was pretty recent?
Yeah. Within the last year.
Damn.
Yeah. Because I only came out as trans like 8 months ago.
That's what you said, yeah.
Yeah. So.
Damn.
Best part is that this person is in a relationship and was in the same relationship when this happened. So.
Damn, look at you. You're kind of just stirring the pot over there a little bit, huh?
Yeah.
Just to cause a little bit of chaos.
Yeah.
Okay.
I literally was talking to my friends. There's this group chat of like a bunch of girls. If any of you guys are watching this, thank you. But there's this group chat of girls that I'm all friends with. And I literally told them, I was like, earlier, I was like, I'm feeling very chaotic today. I want to, like, I'm going to cause problems on purpose today. Just for fun. Just to stir the pot. That's the Aries in me. I'm Virgo is my sun sign. Aries is my moon sign. And so it's like the dichotomy of control and chaos.
Listen, you're talking to somebody who has no idea about any of the astrological signs.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. Yeah, I can see how dating in Humboldt for you would be very hard now, not knowing anything about astrology, because that's everybody my biggest hang up.
Everyone's like, "What's your sign?" And I'm like, "I don't know," and then I leave.
Rocks and stones. Yeah. And
witch
hazel.
When you date somebody, like you have their energy, like that chaotic energy, that's in some people, and that scares me too. And it's like, I don't need drama or like I try to keep
Right.
my life pretty simple.
For me, it's not necessarily drama. It's more like because I don't dwell on it.
Yeah.
It doesn't lurk me, or it doesn't like follow me around. You know,
It's not eating away at you.
No, exactly, and it's not a constant thing either. It's just like I feel like having a little bit of fun and not the best way some days, and it never involves the people that I actually care about. Like people I actually care about and enjoy hanging out with. I'm like, okay, crazy Sky. Just know these people are off limits. Don't bother them. They're good people. Just mess with the bad ones. And then bad Sky is like, okay, good to know.
Everybody's got to have boundaries, right?
Yeah.
So you're kind of setting these little guidelines for yourself. Of, okay, when we're feeling a little chaotic, these are the good targets.
I'm
these
the
are the bad
anti-hero.
ones. Okay.
Yeah. I'm the one who will be bad to the bad guys.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Some people like that.
I'm the anti-hero. Yeah.
Every story needs one.
Right? I'm like Deadpool. Or who else is an anti-hero?
Cruella. But Deadpool. Oh, you're
Cruella
gonna say I don't know if she was
in the new movie.
I haven't seen the new one with Emma Stone.
Yeah, you should watch it. It was really good.
She's a good actress.
She is, and it was a really good movie. They set it up like a Marvel movie. It was so cinematically attractive.
Oh, I gotta see
it.
Like
they didn't flake out on it. Like this was a good movie, and they set Cruella up to be more of an anti-hero. And they also like changed the story a bit to make it more PC, since killing puppies isn't really cool.
Oh, she's not killing puppies in this one?
No. Oh, spoilers.
Oh, I feel like that takes away from the movie now.
Well, there's this. I can't give it away.
I'm gonna have to watch it. I'll watch it and then we'll reconvene and be like, okay.
If you have Disney Plus, it's on there for free now.
I don't. I gotta get it.
That's sad.
I gotta cave just for like the Mandalorian and all the Marvel stuff.
Oh my god! Speaking of Star Wars, Dune. It isn't related to Star Wars, but
I haven't seen Dune either.
Oh my god!
Is it good?
So good. They're literally setting it up to be like the next Star Wars.
Oh, it's gonna be a franchise. I thought it was just a standalone movie.
Oh no, they fully set this movie up to be like, all right, here's the pilot for an entire series of movies. That's basically how they set up the first movie. And the first movie was great. Costume design, incredible. Acting, awesome. This is the first time I've ever seen a father and son dynamic that was actually believable in a movie.
Well, that's a high bar.
It is. Because normally it's like, these people are clearly not related, But like there was enough of that like contrast between the two to like be individual characters on their own, but you can still see that like relationship between the two of them. That I don't know how they did it, but it worked really well. And like the lore behind it is really cool, and also if you've read the books, like the books are really good. Mostly because the person who wrote them like went crazy while writing them. Like literally crazy. And I think he died before he finished them.
How many books are there?
Oh god, I think there's like 6 or 8.
Oh shit. Okay, yeah. So quite a few.
Mm-hmm. And the story, oh my god, the story just goes on into like all these different things, because like the Star Wars universe, it the first part was like a certain era, and then there's like the next era, and like there isn't like a whole lot of time in between like the eras of Star Wars, like in the actual like lore of it, but with this, like it goes on into like the main character's like grandson's grandson. Like it goes far, like in the books at least. I don't know what they're gonna do with the movies, but also Zendaya did incredible. The Jason Momoa's in it too.
Oh, I didn't know he was in it.
Yeah, he did really well. The mother she played a character in a horror movie, I think, but I can't remember which horror movie. But she did really well. I liked her character. But yeah, they're setting this up to definitely be like the next Star Wars.
Oh, I'm gonna have to watch it.
Yeah, really good. If you want to stream it, HBO Max.
Yeah.
But it's still in theaters.
Oh, okay.
So
I gotta see that. I've been meaning to see that one for a minute.
It's good. It's worth it.
It's got the seal of approval.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm sold.
Yeah.
I didn't know they were gonna try to franchise it. I thought it was just gonna be a standalone movie.
No,
I didn't even know there were multiple books. I thought it was just the one.
the movie only came out a month ago, and they've already confirmed that the second one is coming.
Oh, so it probably did really,
Yeah.
really well.
Yeah. Oh, it literally it broke records, I believe, for like box office.
Which is ironic because the new Marvel movie did not do very good, I heard.
No, Marvel's is now that like the whole like Avengers thing is kind of over, like the Endgame situation was done. I think now Marvel is kind of like on its way out.
Oh, you think they're slipping?
I think so. And
Becoming the DC universe.
yeah, can't wait for all of the Marvel individuals who watch this to just be like, how dare that
You don't
woman
know what
say
you're
that?
talking
Yeah.
about.
And I'm
Just
like,
come in for the comments.
exactly.
Well, I heard that's what it's called, right?
Eternals.
Yeah, I heard it was not very good.
I think it's just that they're trying to pump out so many different things so quickly that they're not actually putting in like the real time and effort that needs to go into them to make them really good, you know?
Which is weird because they did such a good job with everything before it. Like they dedicated a lot of time. I even heard Shang-Chi.
That was good.
Yeah, I heard that was good.
They filmed most of that in San Francisco, actually.
Oh, did they really?
They did.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, over in Chinatown and some other parts of San Francisco.
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
Yeah, I heard that was good. And then Eternals just flopped. It was like a step backwards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it was, I don't know. It was, I kind of fell off the Marvel train, but I remember when the first Iron Man came out, and that was like revolutionary. I remember when Green Lantern came out.
And it was
That
trash.
was horrible.
Oh my god, that was like a 180.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Green Lantern was so bad.
Yeah.
Everything was so bad. The acting was not up to par.
Nope.
The graphics were laughably
Yeah, the
bad.
special effects were not good.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it was interesting. And then I think, remember Avatar? That was like the first 3D movie ever.
Yeah, James Cameron.
Yeah, the like Avatar, not like Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yes.
But,
Yeah.
I believe there's a new one coming out soon.
I think it's like 2023.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Or
Which
next
it's
year,
been what,
I think.
10 years in the making. When did Avatar come out?
Oh God. I think like 2008, 2009.
Yeah.
Something
I would
like
check
that.
out.
Because I remember being pretty young when it came out.
So that's probably 12 years.
What's nice about being born in 2000 is that like whenever I'm talking about a year, I know exactly what
You're
age I was.
2000 baby. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm getting old, man.
Right.
I'm getting old.
2 years older than me.
It doesn't get any better. Watch out for those next 3 years.
Right. We'll see what
All
happens.
downhill after 21. That's what everybody told me, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
that's not true.
Yeah. Well, I'm finally at the age where I can audition for Drag Race.
Okay, the RuPaul thing.
Yeah.
I think we talked about that last time.
We did.
Yeah.
And auditions literally like just opened 2 weeks ago.
Oh shit.
So we'll see what happens. I can neither confirm or deny if I'm auditioning or not, because if I do, then I can get in trouble. But
Oh, you can get in trouble for saying that you did.
yeah,
Oh,
because that could break a future NDA.
oh that they would have you sign for it.
And want to know how much it is if you break an NDA?
$20,000.
$2 million.
Damn.
$2 million if you break the NDA.
That's a lot. That's a lot of money from them. $2 million.
Yeah.
Yikes. Would it be breaking it if you said it beforehand though, before you signed the contract?
Yeah.
It would be. They'd still count that.
Because if this has happened in the past where people have auditioned and then they've said that they've auditioned like publicly online, and it's basically a one-way ticket to not getting casted.
Oh, yikes.
Because while you're on the show, they strip you of all forms of communication.
Yeah, that's what you said, right?
Yeah.
They block you out from the outside world.
And so because they necessarily like don't want people to know that you are doing it, but then also it's counterproductive. because
That kind of shines a spotlight on you because if you're
exactly,
like
because all of a sudden
posting
I've
online, yeah,
disappeared
then you're
from
not
social
there.
media completely for like 3 months. And so
Kind of a giveaway.
just a little bit, like I think they do that on purpose so that way it gives like the Reddit people something to do for a while before the season actually comes out, because
And
they're
it
like,
build tension in a weird way,
yeah,
right?
and like sleuthing and stuff. And it's like yeah, interesting. But Dragula, on the other hand, which is like the horror version of RuPaul's Drag Race, they do a really good job at keeping their cast under wraps, because there was a few members on this current season, season 4, that just started 4 weeks ago, that nobody actually knew were on, like beforehand, that nobody guessed was actually on. So that was really refreshing in comparison to Drag Race, where like the moment that filming is over, you know exactly who's on the season. So it's cool to have like something in the drag world where you're like, "Oh, I have no idea who's going to be on." So,
Is that something you're thinking of applying to as well?
Dragula's way too intense.
Okay.
Way too intense for me. Their elimination challenges are not just lip syncing. It's like uh one of them was like you were buried alive 6 feet underground while they poured like water and bugs
So
and
like Fear
dirt.
Factor style.
Yes,
Okay.
very much so. Another was you were strapped to an electrical device, and whoever could take the most amount of shocks before giving up like got to stay.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I can see why
Like,
that might not be up to snuff.
no. And there was one extermination challenge in specifics that I would absolutely not be able to do, and it was whoever could take the most amount of piercing needles in their body at one time. And it was like piercing needles like in your chest, like in your arms. They would cross them. So like one would go in this way and they would do another one right over top of it in the opposite direction. They would do different gauged needles, so they would be like bigger ones and smaller ones, and just like a whole lot of,
And people are going through with that.
yeah. But this season, so I didn't understand why people would go through with that in the previous seasons, because the prize money was only like 25,000. But this year it's finally 100,000, which is the same as Drag Race.
Yeah,
So,
but to get stabbed with needles, I
well,
don't know if
it's
a
not
100,000 would
necessarily it's
put me on that.
it's not necessarily about the prize money. It's more about like the money you'll be able to make after being on the show, because getting onto these shows is kind of like a trampoline into like
You're like
a
getting yourself
more
on the map.
successful life. Exactly. Yeah. Where you have like a spotlight on you and you're like C-list celebrity, basically. Well, that's how it is for Drag Race, because like the girl who won Drag Race, she got $100,000, but she's been like walking in like runway shows for like Rihanna and Fenty and like big designers and all kinds of things, and just living like this super successful life, going to the Met Gala, like all kinds of crazy stuff like that. And so it's like it's not necessarily about the prize money, it's more about what you do with being on that platform. So,
And they let anybody compete.
for Drag Race, they're becoming a lot more inclusive. Like this current season of Drag Race UK had a cisgendered woman competing. So, like, born a girl, identifies as a girl, and is a drag queen. She competed on the season. Trans women are competing on the season. A trans woman actually just won the most recent season of All Stars, which was really cool. And she's the first American trans winner. There was a trans winner on Drag Race Thailand, but yeah, and they're becoming a lot more inclusive. Dragula is incredibly inclusive, like from the get go. Like Dragula will cast drag kings, drag queens, cisgendered women, cisgendered guys, uh, trans women, trans men. Drag Race is getting to that point because they realize like, oh, it's kind of counterproductive to be the biggest thing in the LGBTQ world, like in the LGBTQ pop culture world, but not be as inclusive as the rest, you know? So,
Yeah, it seems like that hurt them a little bit.
and that's what it is. That's what it's been doing
Putting
over the
that pressure on
past
them.
few years. Yeah. So that pressure has made the producers be like, okay, we need to not just follow how RuPaul feels, because RuPaul has said very transphobic things in the past and stuff, but you're not there for RuPaul, you know? Like, sure, it's called RuPaul's Drag Race, but the show is owned by World of Wonder,
Is
which is the
RuPaul a guy? I
production.
feel like we talked about this last time too.
Yeah,
There's a
RuPaul
guy.
identifies as a guy.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's so funny because like over COVID, RuPaul, so normally RuPaul's makeup is actually done by a girl who was on Drag Race on the second season. Her name is Raven. And so RuPaul's makeup is done all by Raven. And so over COVID and stuff, like when the lockdowns were really serious and stuff, RuPaul wasn't able to get into makeup because she hasn't done her own makeup in years. And so it was really funny to see these situations on the show where she would normally be in makeup, like for the grand finale, which was live, for season 13. She was like, normally she would be in full drag, but she wasn't because she didn't have access to her makeup artist, which is funny because it's like, wow, the number one drag queen in the world can't do her own makeup when she, like, on her show preaches about, like, knowing how to do hair and do makeup and sew outfits and stuff like that, and she does none of that. So
Is RuPaul trans?
no,
No.
RuPaul identifies as a guy.
Identifies as a guy.
Yeah.
Is biologically a guy?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you said she doing makeup, and was that in reference to the makeup artist being a she?
Whenever I talk about like a drag queen and identifies as a drag queen,
She. Okay,
use she.
that threw me off because I was like, wait a minute, is this? Because that would be pretty stupid if
Yeah.
it was RuPaul was trans and then didn't want trans people on the show. I was like that.
Yeah, no,
that doesn't
RuPaul
check out.
isn't trans.
Okay.
No. RuPaul is a very interesting person, like one of the biggest people in the LGBTQ world, yet owns like a fracking industry in Wyoming. Weird.
Huh.
Weird. Very country thing to do. But
And fracking in
sure.
itself is weird.
Uh-huh.
To be involved in fracking, period, is
Yeah.
a little weird.
Very suspicious. Very weird.
Huh.
To each their own. I'm like,
You'll have to ask him about that when you're on the show.
well, I don't know. I don't know if I'll do it or not. We'll see.
That's cool though. That would be exciting.
Yes, but if I do it, you won't know.
We won't know. Well, I'll just check
From
in
me.
with the Reddit sleuths.
Right.
We'll see if I can be like, hey, who's gonna be on this season?
Right. Yeah.
You're doing something else with drag here locally too, aren't you?
Yeah.
Like, I was talking with Felicity, and she said
Yes.
something about Spectral Productions, I believe.
Yes, that is the like drag company that I like own or whatever. That I like before COVID hosted and operated my own show, which was that show over in Old Town. Now that COVID has happened and stuff, I haven't been able to do it. But over the past week, I went to Humbrew's for the first time, and normally Club Triangle does shows with Humbrew's and did shows with Humbrew's before COVID happened. Club Triangle has been super over the top about being safe with COVID and stuff. Understandably, to each their own. Personally, I don't think the problem is going out and having fun. I think the problem is people not getting vaccinated. Because like if you're not vaccinated, then you are the problem. It's not if you're going out and having fun. Because like if everybody's vaccinated, then there's nobody for the vaccine to latch onto, you know. And then the just like polio and all that, it'll just die off, and it won't happen a whole lot, you know. But that's my personal views on it. But get vaccinated, y'all. Anyways, but Humbrew's, they were like, I went there and had dinner and stuff, and one of the employees recognized me from doing my drag and stuff, and they were like, we would love to start doing shows again. Like, we want you to do your show here. And I was like, oh, hell yes, because like Humbrew's has an incredible venue. I don't know if you've ever been there.
I haven't.
Oh, you would love it. It's a great venue. It doesn't feel like it would be somewhere in Humboldt. Like, it's one of those businesses where you're like, I don't feel like I'm in Humboldt County right now. I feel like I'm in the Bay Area or something like that.
Is it like a tap room?
It's like a bar restaurant
Okay.
type thing. And it's just very cool. And then like you walk in, you see the venue, you're like, okay, cool, like this is a restaurant. And then there's like a door on the side of the right wall, and you go in, and it's like a whole like concert venue basically. And that's where the drag shows and stuff would happen. But it's very cool to like know that they're interested in doing a show. So I'll be working with them. I'll be working with them upcoming to try to get that going again. So,
Well,
and
that's
then,
exciting.
yeah, and then I've done 3 shows since COVID started at Septentrio Winery in Arcata, which has been really fun. Best business ever. I love them to death. So supportive, so cool. Tynell, the owner, she's amazing. For our Halloween show, I literally was like, I want to do this stunt, but I don't know if like you'd be cool with it, because like, but I will do anything like I need to in order to like for you to be cool with it. Which was pouring like a gallon of fake blood on myself in the middle of the performance. And she was like, because we were doing the show outside, like outside of their venue in their little like outdoor area, she was like, oh, I don't care, like go for it, like do it, have fun, I want you to look as cool as possible. And she said like, hell, I'll even like rent a power washer the next day to get the stains out of the cement if I have to. And I was like, cool, excellent. So been doing shows there, and that's been really, really fun. And yeah, we've been doing them like every other month, so it's not that frequent, which is unfortunate. It would be great if it was like once a month, but that's what I'm hoping to do with my show, is for it to be once a month at Humbrew's. So we'll see what happens.
Any idea when the next one might be, or it's still a little too early for them?
The next show with Septentrio will be in December, I believe December 12th or 13th, something like that, or December 11th. 11th, 12th, or 13th, something like that. I know it's a Sunday, so yeah.
I'll have to check that out. That would
Yes.
be cool.
Yeah, should be fun. But every single show, it sells out so fast.
Mm-hmm.
And this time we did pre-sale tickets online, and those sold out pretty fast too. And so like, and there was like literally a line around the block that the venue is on, like for people wanting to get in to see the show. And like within like, I don't know, 20 minutes, like all the in-person tickets like at the door were sold. And like it was just packed. There were so many people. It was so cool.
Yeah, that's got to be awesome.
And it was outdoors.
People are ready for it to come back.
Yeah, and it was outdoors, so it was very safe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it was really cool.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah.
What made you? Did you reach out to Humbrew's? Is that kind of how you got?
No,
connected
they
with them?
I just went there to go have dinner with a friend, and one of the employees came up to me and recognized me and mentioned that they wanted to start doing shows again and stuff, and that they wanted me to do it. And I was like, cool, excellent. Yeah, I'm down. So I'll be in communications with them shortly to hopefully get that started. The only thing though that's complicated about it is the fact that it's indoors. And like,
Does that mean like limited capacity stuff?
not only that, but also like there isn't airflow, you know, like,
So it gets a little too hot.
well, there isn't like air circulation. So it's not necessarily safe for like preventing like COVID from transmitting, you know?
Mm.
Because like if it's in an outdoor area, there's like fresh air blowing all over the place and stuff, and it's a lot safer. But indoors, it's not as safe. And I have my personal opinion on the situation and stuff, and my viewpoints on COVID. But the difference between me and like the anti-vaxxers, anti-maskers, is that I'm not trying to impose my opinion onto others and like force them to be in a situation that they don't feel comfortable with. So I'm trying to find a happy medium, you know?
A nice balance for everybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's the hard part, right? Especially about trying to do a new venue like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just trying to find a happy medium.
Exactly. Yeah. But so far, so good. And the shows at Septentria have been super successful. I make like $400 each show, which
Oh,
is
that's
really
cool.
awesome. Yeah. So pretty much I make $400 within less than 10 minutes. So
It's not a bad way to make $400.
not at all. Not at all. It's pretty cool.
And you've been doing that
Almost 5 years.
almost 5 years. Wow. Oh, I didn't know that. Did we talk
Yeah.
about that last time?
I think so.
I knew that
But
you did drag. I didn't know you had your own drag company.
Yeah, I like it's not like a big serious thing that makes a lot of money or whatever, but I myself have been doing drag for 5 years.
Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah. Well, it'll be 5 years in March or something like that. So, I can't believe it's been that long, but here I am.
I know you blink and time keeps going.
I know. It's like, slow down.
Yeah. It's weird when you're in high school and it's every day feels like a month, and then you get out and it's like,
yeah,
what just happened in the past 5 years?
Exactly. And it's like, oh, damn. Okay. I did not prepare for this. I was not ready. I thought I was. No, I was not.
And COVID doesn't help.
Oh my God, no.
Having
But I'm
that thrown in the mixes.
I know I said this the last time I was here, but I am so grateful I wasn't in school. Like, I wasn't still in school with COVID happening. So grateful.
Yeah, Zoom was not
Yeah.
good.
And not only that, but being forced to go back to in-person learning when you're not able to be vaccinated. It's just like, hey kids, have fun. Go get super sick. And not be able to really do anything about it.
Yeah. Well, just being in school
And
during
then
all the chaos.
And then also being in high school and like being at the age where you are able to manifest your own opinions and viewpoints, but you're in the hands of adults who are like trying to impose their opinions and viewpoints onto you and your schooling and your education, and you can't really do anything about it. So it's a really weird place to be in, and I'm so glad that I'm not in it.
Isn't that just high school in general?
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
But it's even more drastic now. Like parents are going into or like the school board meetings and literally like flipping out to the police to the point where the police have to come. You know, it's like crazy.
I didn't know about that. I've been trying not to watch the news for like the past
Same.
while. It's been a while now since I've actually sat down and watched the news.
Yeah, I'm so excited to get my own place because I won't have to live with my grandfather who watches it every single day.
What's he watch?
He just watches the local like news, like Channel 3. He's one of those old people who don't have cable.
Oh.
So he just has like the 13 channels.
And he's okay.
And he's good.
He's happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It takes too much out of me.
I know.
I can't do it.
Stresses me out.
Yeah, I can't do it.
I'm like, I don't need to be worrying about all this when I'm living in my own little bubble. Like, it's literally like whether you like it or not, you do live in your own little bubble, your own little space. Like, sure, there's this great big world around you, but a lot of it does not actually directly affect you. And watching the news right now is literally like opening up your little bubble and letting all of that negativity just like flow inside and just overwhelm you. Or you just like, you either close it off and like push it away, or you just become absorbed into it. And
it can definitely consume you if you're not careful. Because all you're getting is, all this hate and shit just spewed down your throat.
Literally, it's so crazy to me because I was, again, just at 707 and there was this truck outside.
A lot happening at 707.
Huh?
I said there's a lot happening at 707.
Well, I've literally been deemed the princess of 707 now by the bartenders there. So it's like, cool, excellent. But it's my watering hole. It's the place that I like to go to because like I'm friends with all the bartenders and stuff. But regardless, I was there and there was this truck outside. And I mean, mind you, it's a pretty like redneck-esque bar. But it's like more of a mixing pot though. But still, main population that likes to go there is the more straight men individuals. But there was this truck outside and it had bumper stickers on it, two in specific. One of them said, "White Lives Matter." And then the other said, "All lives splatter." And I'm like, that's really aggressive. That is so politically aggressive. For what?
Some people just like the chaos.
I mean, I like chaos too. We were just talking about
That's
it.
like next.
But I'm
That's
not trying to actually say that people should die, you know?
yeah, that's next level.
I'm like, that's too much.
And
That is
putting
too
a sticker
much.
on your truck, I think is just weird. Like the whole bumper sticker thing, I've never really gotten
I
that to
know.
begin with.
Yeah, same. I mean, like I have two stickers on my car. One of them is just like of a little like cool cat with a beanie. That's a Dutch Bro sticker. And the other one is a smiley face, and then if you look close enough, it actually says dying inside on it. So, you know. But like there are people who have the most wild bumper stickers and stuff. And I'm like, why do you gotta blast your political views? Nobody
Yeah,
cares.
when it gets political and it's like it's on your vehicle, it's
Nobody
like
cares.
why?
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna look at that in traffic and be like, "Oh, that's a great point."
One
Like,
of my favorite things that one of my friends do though is that they will carry a pack of rainbow Sharpies with them, and whenever they see a Blue Lives Matter sticker, like that little like American flag with just the one blue stripe,
oh no.
they'll fill in the rest and make it like an LGBTQ like rainbow sticker. And it's so funny because it's like it's not like they put another sticker on top of it where you could just take it off. They altered the sticker that was already there. And so I enjoy that level of vandalism.
I don't know. Vandalism's a weird. Fucking with other people's property is always a little dicey.
But also it's only a sticker.
Yeah.
The sticker's already stuck onto the vehicle. It's already depreciated the
Are
car's
those
value.
two like exclusive? The Blue Lives Matter and the LGBT.
They don't what do you mean?
Well, like why? What's I could see if it was like a Trump flag and you'd go and like do that, but why the Blue Lives Matter?
Oh, because it's stupid to compare a job that you can easily quit to a race that you are forever. You're only a police officer for 40 hours out of the week. You're a black person for your entire life.
That is that
The
is
two
true.
do not correlate.
But I get the sentiment of the Blue Lives Matter thing. I get this.
Feel free to say that you respect the first responders. That's great. Respecting first responders is absolutely awesome. Saying Blue Lives Matter is like, sure, the phrase of it makes sense. Like police officers' lives do matter, but it's the context that it's used in. And what you know that it actually means is that they do not like people who defend themselves against cops.
You think that's what that means?
Yeah.
I don't know. I
And the fact that they say Blue Lives Matter directly is in reference to Black Lives Matter, which is a racial movement to make sure that everybody has equal rights. And that's literally comparing somebody's life to a job. It is a job that you can quit, that you can be fired from, that you don't have to join if you don't want to. And meanwhile, being black is you are black forever. You can't change that. And it's not something that you can just take off at the end of the day and like hang up and put away. It's stupid. It's like comparing a job to a race is very stupid.
It's not just a job though.
It is a job.
Yeah, but people kill cops just to kill cops.
Well, yeah. Of course they do. But
nobody's going to McDonald's and killing a chef just to kill a McDonald's chef.
Well, I mean, I'm sure there is someone out
There
there.
were those.
But
did you know
that's playing devil's advocate?
Well, yeah, that's all I have on this thing.
Exactly.
I'm not a cop. I'm also not black.
Me neither.
Yeah.
But
so
still,
I can only play devil's advocate.
But
I think people breaking themselves down into these micro communities in general is weird. I don't think that's good.
Uh-huh.
That scares me.
But again, when it is something that is racially motivated and specifically speaks upon violence, I'm not cool with it.
Is that what Blue Lives Matter? I'm so ignorant. I don't know I don't pay attention to anything.
It's like, no, it literally boils down to they are trying to compare somebody's job that they don't need to have. You can make money and a living off of something else. You do not have to be a police officer.
But we need cops.
Sure. But if you do not specifically have to be a police officer, that is not a requirement to live your life. If you are born a Black person, you can't change that. You can't just take off your skin and be like, okay, well, I'm all done for the day. My shift's over. No. Black people can't, cops can take off their uniform and go walk into Costco and just be a normal, everyday human being. Black people don't get that same luxury of just being like, oh, I can just take off my blackness and go into Costco and just be a normal white person. No. It's completely different. They are two completely different things. One is a race, one is a job. They do not compare. They are not comparable. Point blank, period, end of story.
And the Blue Lives Matter thing is trying to make that comparison.
Absolutely.
Okay. I thought it was
or
just
else it would not be called Blue Lives Matter.
I thought it was just the All Lives Matter thing that was like, hey.
Well, all lives matter, duh. Of course all lives matter. But saying that way ain't cool.
What way?
Because, well, it's the context behind it that it is most commonly used. Is that they are trying to, by saying, by how most people who use the phrase all lives matter use it, is trying to defeat the point of Black Lives Matter. They're trying to make the Black Lives Matter movement less than what it is because they are like, oh, but all lives should matter. Duh, that's the whole point of Black Lives Matter, is to have all lives matter. But just shooting straight towards that direction is completely, I don't know if I'm phrasing this right because I'm clearly not Black. I can't professionally speak on this matter, but still, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work.
I have no idea. I'm 23. I don't know anything. I get the sentiment. I get the sentiment of Blue Lives Matter. If you're not taking away from the Black Lives Matter thing, which I didn't know those. I mean, I kind of get it because it's like BLM.
I guess you could correlate it to the trans situation we were talking about earlier, saying that you're attracted to girls but not being attracted to trans girls.
Okay, wait. Time out. What is that?
When you could phrase it a different way for it to not be transphobic. That is what I'm saying. Is that the way that you are saying it, regardless of your intention, comes off a certain way.
But wasn't Blue Lives Matter around before the Black Lives Matter movement? I know that thin blue line in the blue flag, that's been around for a while, right? That's been around for a long time.
But the context that was created around it with the uprising of Black Lives Matter changed how it is perceived. What I am speaking on is perception of the audience that is absorbing said information. It is just like how if I was talking to a guy in a bar and I was like we were flirting or whatever, and then I said I'm trans, and they're like, oh, I'm only attracted to girls. Well, I am a girl. And so it's saying there are different ways to phrase it without it coming off as aggressive or not in support of a certain type of person. So for example, a similar situation in the topic we're currently speaking on would be, instead of saying Blue Lives Matter, you can say, I support first responders. So therefore, you are still saying the same message that you originally wanted to speak on without having the negative baggage of the phrase you were saying before.
I get that. But I think when you get into perception, it kind of gets a little dicey.
Well, I'm speaking in general perception terms of what I've experienced with the way of phrasing things
Mm-hmm.
and how important that is. Um, because you can say one thing and have it mean a certain way, but just because of the way you say it could mean the exact opposite to the person you said it to. And that is my whole point,
Mm-hmm.
is that you can support police officers, you can support first responders. Just say that you support first responders, because saying Black Lives Matter or saying Blue Lives Matter is not the correct way of going about it, because of all of the negative connotation that has been built around it because of all of the situations that have happened, because of the way that people who are not good people have pushed it so high and like made it a certain way, if that makes sense.
No, you're kind of losing me.
So, like I said, it's
So it's
like,
just the brand. Your problem is the branding of Blue Lives Matter, not the sentiment. It's the branding of. You feel like it's detached from Black Lives Matter, and
well,
it's
I
taking
mean,
away from that.
it's the same as saying like it's the same situation as like, yeah, there are good cops out there, and yeah, there are bad cops out there. We're trying to eliminate the bad cops. It's the same way with phrasing. Yeah, there are good ways to phrase it, and yeah, there are bad ways to phrase it, but we're trying to erase the bad ways of phrasing it.
Okay, that seems like a big stretch.
Is it though?
Yeah, because good cops and bad. There's good people and there's bad people.
Yeah.
That's
And there's
anywhere.
good ways of phrasing things and there's bad ways of phrasing things.
Yeah, but doesn't
It's
that?
all in a matter of perception,
Yeah, but
because
perception
somebody,
changes. That's my problem with that. Because what if today it's like, okay, first responders lives matter. Could you say that? Or is it the branding of blank lives matter? Like that's now Black Lives Matter, and you can't rebrand that.
well, of course things will change over time. Things change all the time. I'm speaking on the present.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows what will happen tomorrow? I'm trying to make people better in the present, because the present is garbage. If the world changes tomorrow and decides that the trend is amongst everybody to say things a certain way and that it has a positive connotation, then go for it. It's just uh like the reclaiming of words. It's that same situation. It's like, oh sure, that was a bad way of saying it, but if it's being reclaimed, then like by the individuals who were originally subjected to said term.
Are you talking about like the N word?
Well, not only that, but like the current one that I'm a fan of is the term bimbo. Like that is currently being reclaimed and is more empowering, and like, yeah, you can be sexy, you can be attractive, you can dress however you want, because that shouldn't matter on how people perceive you, because it's just clothing, it's just makeup, it's just hair. It's not actually your identity, you know? And like it's okay to be sexual and like express your sexual desires openly because of all the stigma that's built around it, you know? So it's similar to that. Like if Blue Lives Matter gets reclaimed in a more positive way, then that is something to evaluate at a later time, like when that actually happens. My focus personally is the present when it comes to things like this.
I don't get that whole rebranding thing. We're taking words back. I don't get that.
Reclamation, like reclamation.
Is that what it's called? Is that what it is?
Yeah, because you're like reclaiming it.
Yeah, I don't get that.
I don't know. I think it's like a power thing, or like yeah, you used to call me this, but I actually like that you call me this because it also means this to me. Like it means this to me. So call me it all you want, you know?
No, I don't get that. I don't see the appeal in reclaiming words like that. I've never understood that.
Hmm. Well,
That's just one of those things. I don't get it. I don't see. I'm also a firm believer. I'm weird in the sense that I think that words only have power if you give them power. Like
right.
I don't care what words anybody uses. I think that speaks about who you are.
And words can have negative power and words can have positive power.
Yeah, but I think the only person that gets to decide that is the person
It's
receiving the
subjected
words.
to. Yeah.
Yeah.
So therefore, I've been called a bimbo before in negative connotation. And so I'm like, yeah,
Did it affect you when somebody called you that?
no.
That would be me. I'd be like, okay, cool.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, yeah, I am that. So what? I am a bimbo. Cool.
But what is a bimbo? Like these are just words, right?
Right.
So why do we have to reclaim it? That's what I think I don't get. Like why not just not care?
I don't know. I mean,
I'm
it's
asking you this giant existential question, not to put you on the spot.
something that could be similar when it comes to reclaiming is like how in the 90s it was so like that you could possibly relate to is in the 90s there was this huge trend of men having to be like completely hairless, like clean shaven, no body hair whatsoever because of all of the like perfume ads and stuff and like cologne ads or whatever that came out and just like the way that things are. But nowadays, like girls love a guy with a beard and love that like rugged masculinity rather than like that chiseled, clean cut type of masculinity, you know? So it's like reclaiming that and like taking the like making it attractive again, I guess. If that makes sense.
Not I get the comparison. I get what the hair thing or the
Hmm.
beard.
So it's like women were shamed for like
Being called a bimbo.
yeah, and being like dressing too too revealing and wearing certain things and wearing like big heels during the day or like fur coats and being like, "Oh, she's extra. She's like a bimbo. She's uh like whatever." And so now it's kind of like trying to change that and be like, "No, they're still a woman. They still deserve respect. They're still cool. They're still great people. They just enjoy dressing that way and there shouldn't be an issue with that." And so in a sense, it's like taking away the power from the people using that word negatively and turning it positively and being like, "Yeah, I am a bimbo. So what? I'm still a great person. I'm still fun. I'm still cool. I can still have a professional job. I can still be a bank teller if I want to." You know?
Mm-hmm.
Did that help?
No, I get it. I get the
Okay.
line of thinking. I just think it's weird. Like
Oh, okay.
why not just call them a bimbo back? Or why not just not like I just think it's weird how people have this idea in their head that like, oh, we have to like reclaim these hurtful words. And I get it. I get like where they're coming from with it. It's just like
I
a
don't think
weird
it's something
concept to me.
I don't think people think that it's something that needs to be done. I think it's something that people think like in my personal perspective, it's like it's fun to do because it's like, oh, we're like taking that power away from them and we're using it against them at the same time because it's like going to go and like stab somebody, but then that person grabs the knife from you and stabs you with it instead. You know? It's like that. I guess it's almost like petty in a sense. I don't know. It's weird because now you have me thinking too.
It's weird, right?
But it's, I think it just has to do with like the power of it.
I
Because
don't
you're
get
right.
that like is
You
such a
don't
foreign
you don't
concept to
have to
me.
give power to it. You don't
Yeah.
have to
Because you keep saying like there's this power and like
you
you're
don't have
taking the
to
power back.
you don't have to reciprocate the power or like flip it on its head and then like give it back to them or like weaponize it against them. You don't have to do that to still be like a good person. You can do it however you want.
But is there even any power in it? Like if somebody is walking down the street and yells at you and is like, "Hey, crazy." Like nobody's out there saying, "Oh, we need to reclaim the word crazy."
Well, I mean, there are.
Are people trying to do that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, no, it's more like people saying like, "Oh, crazy isn't a good term because it like stigmatizes mental health and stuff," which is understandable, but I don't know. that's definitely something out of your realm.
Oh yeah. The whole yeah, I don't get why we're like I don't understand.
I don't know. I think it's just something where
Cuz people are like,
you
"Oh, you
have
can't
to
say
be
crazy."
you have to be in the position of the people reclaiming it. Like you
Mhm.
have to be a part of whatever lifestyle that is being reclaimed in order to really understand it. Like, you never know where somebody's been until you've walked in their shoes or you've walked their path. Sure, they can tell you about it, but you won't fully understand or know it.
There's this quote that comes to mind now that you said path. And I think it ties in perfectly with this. And I think I've said it on the podcast before, but there's a famous quote, and I can't think of who it's by, but it goes, prepare the child for the road, not the road for the child. And I think that sums up where I stand in life right now because I feel like we are in this crazy time where we are teaching people that, and this, I'm going to say this, and as I'm saying it, I'm not trying to sound like an asshole, but thinking about it, like it sounds kind of assholey, and I haven't quite figured out how to separate the two. The idea from the stigma of assholeness.
Right.
But
The problem with
you know where I'm
that
going with this?
no, the problem with um that quote though, in the most literal way of thinking about it, is that sure, in like just like if you don't think about it, that does make sense. That's a cool quote. But also, if you're like if you're trying to prepare people for something that you've experienced, you're going to prepare them in the way that you perceive it. You should prepare people to perceive it however they want and to help them, like, I don't know, I guess what I'll try to say is you can't prepare somebody for something because you have your own perspective on things, and you could perceive something completely different than somebody else. So you can't really prepare anybody for anything.
Well, I think what that quote, my interpretation of the quote, which could be way off, is that you're not, you're giving the child the tools so that whatever they face, they can overcome it.
Right.
So when I think about that, if I was trying to break it down, rather than take this road, say you've got this road and there's potholes and there's obstacles that you'd have to jump over or climb under or swim around or whatever. Say it's super basic like that.
I do like that quote, but I would add to also be open to letting, like, so preparing the kid for the road, go down the road with them, but also remember to let them take the lead too.
Well, this is the wait. Okay, time out.
So that way
let me line it back up here.
Okay.
So this is if there's obstacles. So because you're not always going to be with your child, right? So if we're taking a parent-child stance, you have to prepare your child so that they can overcome these things when you're not around.
And problem solve without your ideology.
Yes. Well, I'm not
That's
talking.
what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm not taking. There's no ideology in this, from my interpretation. It's just okay. So we've got this road.
Well,
it's
if you're trying to prepare somebody for something, you're going to use your perception of said thing that you're trying to prepare them for.
Okay, wait, time out. Let me lay out this idea and see if that still holds true for you.
Okay.
You've got this path.
Yeah.
We're going to go super basic. There's things you'd have to climb over, things you'd have to walk around, swim, maybe.
Totally.
So, in order to prepare your child for that, you would have to teach them basic things: how to walk, how to climb, how to swim. You're teaching them these tools that they may need or may not, rather than trying to take the road and pave over it and make it super flat and super safe and there's no obstacles on it, there's no danger, because that's not realistic.
Right. Okay, I see your perspective now.
That was my interpretation of taking out like ideology or like
yeah.
Instilling in this person some way of life. Like you're just teaching them basic things.
I guess what I'm saying is that just also be prepared for that if the kid wants to pave over everything and make it easier for themselves in that way, let them, because it's their journey. It's not yours.
I get what you're saying, but that road's going to break back down over time.
Exactly.
It's basically like...
And then somebody else will come along and do what they want with it. You don't have to
You have me so lost. I'm trying to like... Come back now.
I can tell that I have a very deep thinking. Like, I think very deeply about things.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it can be a double-edged sword because sometimes I can overthink things and then create a whole different reality than what's actually going on.
Yeah, I don't know if you're overthinking this or I'm underthinking this, but I definitely got lost.
There's something going on here.
I got lost in the sauce
There's
on that
some
one.
witchcraft.
Yeah. I think fundamentally we're at this weird place in time where like we're kind of coddling people and like putting
Totally.
feelings.
I do agree with that.
Yeah, putting feelings above all else, which is good. We should want people to be happy and to
Right.
feel comfortable and all these things, but life is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so if you're training these kids that anything that makes them uncomfortable is inherently bad and flawed and wrong, I think that's dangerous because that's life. We have this weird veneer of society, especially here in the States, where life is pretty good. It sucks sometimes, and bad things definitely do happen.
Yeah. Other
But
times you get dollars from your dead dad.
Well,
know?
even not even that. They're like, shit is a lot worse in other places, even today. Like, shit is not. People are being bought and sold. Rape just happens and is a part of life. People are just killed. Like, those are realities that people experience in other places. And we're over here saying, oh, words are so bad. But you know what's worse than words? I had talked with Felicity about this too. I was like, because we got onto sticks and stones, and she was like, words are pretty bad. And I was like, well, what hurts worse than words? Actions. Like an actual brick. Like somebody hitting you with a brick is a lot worse than somebody saying something not nice to you.
You're stupid. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we're teaching these kids
saying you're stupid rather than making you stupid is very different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. But there's a difference, And I think we've kind of lost it as a society in the sense that people like saying people are soft is weird because that's not really what it is. We just have this weird desire not to go towards things that make us uncomfortable or to face things that make us uncomfortable, and that worries me.
Right. It just goes back to your quote where there are people who want to make the road easier, and then there are people who want to make the journey through the road easier. There are people who want to make the road easier for the journey, and there are the people who want to make the journey easier, if that makes sense.
Isn't that the same thing?
No, because they want to make the road easier rather than like it
I'm lost in the sauce.
Oh my god. There are people who want to pave over everything and make the road easier. But then there are the people who want to prepare themselves for the road and thus also making the road easier, but just making it easier in a different way.
Yes. Well, we all want to make things easier, especially for your kids. You want your kids to have a better life than you have.
And then there are the parents who will tell them like, oh, there are all these problems in society. Here are the tools to work around them. And then there are the parents who are out there fighting in the streets being like, we need to change the society to make it better for our children. Like that's the two polarities that I'm perceiving from the way you're describing things.
Yeah, okay.
And in a sense, the people who are out there fighting in the streets are what people would call like the snowflakes or whatever, the people who are soft and like trying to make society different rather than the people who are more aligned with giving kids the tools and knowledge to get through the problems that exist in the world and let them like help them navigate through it rather than paving over it.
Yeah. I think a good example would be you have these people who are saying, oh, we need to censor words that make people not feel good. And then you have other people who are saying words don't affect you. Like you are not the words. If somebody calls you dumb, that doesn't inherently make you dumb.
Yeah.
Like these words only have value if you give them value.
Yeah.
And I think the latter camp is where
I know for a fact that you and I are on the same page right now.
Yeah, I think we are. I think we're just like dancing
we're just describing things differently.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. We're doing the same dance to two different songs.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I think we're there together.
Indeed.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
That worries me. I don't know how we got on that, but that worries me about today's the world we're in.
I don't want kids, so I'm good.
Yeah.
Little money leeches.
Kids are expensive.
Mhm.
You don't want to have kids ever?
I mean,
Never say never, right?
same thing with relationships. I don't want to be with a girl right now, but who knows?
Yeah.
I might meet a kid who I'm like, okay, you're cool. I'll have one, I guess.
You haven't met any cool kids?
No. I don't know. That's just how I am.
There's nothing wrong
It
with
helps
Some
that I
people-
can't have kids.
Yep.
So, well, I mean, per se.
That is a thing, right, with taking these hormone blockers and stuff. Like, if you, theoretically, like, if you wanted to revert back, would everything, like, they have
If I were to have that, like, the bottom surgery, I would never be able to revert back to, like, I would literally not be able to have kids whatsoever.
Yes, obviously.
I could not impregnate somebody, and I could not be impregnated.
But even without the bottom surgery, just with the hormone blockers, doesn't that have an effect?
It lessens your
fertility
sperm
as well?
count, but
Okay.
it doesn't remove it completely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I've heard that, and I don't know how true this is for the other way, for women transitioning to men, but I've heard that.
Women transitioning to men can still get pregnant, but it's just harder.
Oh, okay.
Same thing for me.
It's just harder.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's good that I will never have to worry about that because the tool in my tool belt does not get used that way. If that makes sense. Trying to be real PG right now.
You don't have to be PG. This is a podcast.
I'm
You
not
can
going
use
to fuck
R-
somebody with my
R-rated.
dick. I am
Okay.
the one. I am not giving. I am receiving.
Okay. That just went from PG to triple X.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. So you're, yeah. Yeah. I had heard that, but I wasn't sure if it was in reference to like it being permanent, that once you start taking those blockers,
It's not permanent.
it's not permanent. Okay.
If you just take hormones and then you stop, you're like it will go like you will like it'll take a while, but you will go back to it's like
Back to baseline or back to like a lower level?
it I mean, I think it depends on the person, but it's kind of like
And probably how
push
long
it-
you've been taking it.
yeah,
and
it's
stuff.
kind of like pushing your hand on a Tempur-Pedic mattress. Like you can push your hand all the way down and just hold it there and it'll stay in that shape. But if you remove your hand, it will slowly go back to how it was before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but then the surgery is permanent.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
surgery is removing
There's
the
no
entire
doubt.
mattress. Yeah. So, which I have no idea if I want to do that or not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I do know that I want to have facial feminization surgery.
What is that?
That is where, so it depends on your face. Like it depends on your bone structure. But for me, it would be shaving down the jawline to make it more round. Shaving down the chin a little bit as well to make it not as like angular. And then also nose job as well to make it smaller because I have a fairly masculine nose naturally. So that's what I would do. Luckily, I was blessed with really nice lips and great cheekbones. But other than that, I'm like, all right, time to do some construction.
What, as someone who's not in that sphere, how am I saying this? Why the face and why not anything below? Like, is there why do you feel that needs to be done and that doesn't, or vice versa, or whatever? Like,
It doesn't need to be done. It's
but
just what
you
I
want it to
want
be
done.
Yeah.
It just has to do with the way that my dysmorphia works.
Mhm.
You know, it's the way that I see myself. Without makeup on, I feel really masculine looking. And that's just the way that I perceive it, you know? And sure, it sucks. Sure, I said I shouldn't perceive it that way, but that's just how I perceive it. And so
It doesn't feel masculine when you look down
What do you mean?
and you see a
Oh,
penis.
um,
Because me
that's
personally,
a great question.
I'm
actually.
thinking like if my face, I could probably, get by without doing anything. But if I looked down and saw a dick, I'd be like, okay, like we got to do something.
I don't know. That's a great question. I guess it just has to I don't know. But what's cool about taking estrogen though is that it naturally develops like breast tissue. And so I do have like a little bit of like a chest, but I don't know. It depends on how the transition goes with that area, with the shape that it will get to, the size, I guess. But I would also be open to,
Having that surgery.
yeah.
Huh. But not because I know that's a common thing. I read a book and
I read a book too.
yeah,
That's so crazy.
I know. Most people, well, I shouldn't say most people. Some people do read books.
Yeah.
That's still a thing. I think we're a little under the radar nowadays, but
Right.
it's still happening out there.
But anyways,
No, but it was a book about
the book you read.
Yeah, it was a book. I read it a while ago. I think like pre-pandemic.
Uh-huh.
And it had some statistics on. It was a book about transitioning and stuff.
Right.
And it threw out some statistics, and I don't know. I never fact checked these. I don't know how true they are, but it said that most people who transition don't get the surgery for it, and I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah, because, well, did it say that most male to female trans individuals don't have that surgery?
It said most in general.
Most trans individuals.
Yeah, do not get
I guess that's true.
the surgery. Which I thought was weird because I would feel like that would be
just because having, from what I've been told, transitioning from female to male and having that surgery doesn't work the same as a normal like penis would work. And it's the same way with the opposite of having that removed and having a vagina crafted out of your like crotch instead. It's that it doesn't work the same or feel the same either. So it's kind of, I don't know, it depends on your dysmorphia and how far you want to transition.
I just thought that was interesting because, like, when I think about what it means to be, and this is another one of those ideas I'm thinking about as I'm saying it, so bear with me. But if I think about like if I thought I was a woman, or if I was a woman,
that'd be interesting.
That would be interesting. The beard would not help.
Right. Funny story. My ex was always jealous that I could grow better facial hair than he could.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn. Couldn't grow beard.
Not really, no.
Oh, that sucks. I've got a couple friends like that. They just can't, no matter what, they just can't really get the facial hair going.
Wah, wah.
Oh, what was I just? Oh, but if I thought what it means to be a woman, I feel like having a vagina does play, or like being a man, like having a penis does play into that.
Yeah. I mean, again, it just depends on your definition of what a woman can be or what a man can be.
Mm-hmm.
And what body parts and stuff they can have.
I think that's what trips a lot of people up.
Yeah.
Is the idea of like, oh, okay, you're a man, but you have a vagina, or you're a woman, but you have a penis.
Yeah. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah.
So weird. But yeah, you transitioning would be a very interesting process.
I don't think we have to worry about that.
Oh, cool.
Excellent. Yeah, I don't think I'm pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah.
I think I can get by the rest of my life.
I think you can too.
I think I'd be, yeah. I don't really look good without a beard. I don't think it would work for me.
You've been able to grow facial hair for a long time.
That's an understatement. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was in 6th grade and had a pretty decent mustache.
Yeah.
6th grade.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I really got the beard going until maybe middle school, maybe high school. But the mustache, we've always been pretty close. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
It was weird growing up.
I mean, you got a one-up on other 23-year-olds.
Yeah. I look old as shit, yeah. But then I shave and I look like a small child, so it kind of doesn't... It's a weird balance.
Right. Well, it's a good thing it's not the 90s where you feel pressured to shave that completely gone.
I don't buy into that, all that. The peer pressure stuff, I think I'll finally hit my stride where it's like, yeah, I'm cool,
Right.
I don't need to succumb to that.
Right.
And I think some of that comes with age and some of it comes with experience, and you're just like,
Well, just
we're
like me,
cool.
you are blessed with being a very attractive individual. So
Thank you. Wow, that was a subtle little like shout out and like little back pass too.
I mean, like, if I'm gonna give a point to somebody else, I'm
You
gonna
got to
give a
give one
point
to
to
yourself.
myself too.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Yeah. We can all be winners.
We can all be winners. Yeah, yeah, we can. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we could. Do you have anything else you want to say?
I don't know.
Anything else you want to talk about?
It's
We've been
just
doing. We've almost done 3 hours. We're like
Really?
the 2. Yeah, that's awkward because I looked over and I was like, oh, I was gonna say we've probably done like an hour. Nope. The time room.
Wow.
Yeah, time
Yeah.
flies, right?
It does. Between the 4 walls.
Yeah.
Yes.
In the little garage studio.
Yes.
Do you have anything you want to plug? Where people can find you? What you're doing? You don't have to. Some people plug stuff. Some people don't.
It's Ultra Pain on Instagram. And what else? I don't know. I don't know what else to plug. I don't have too much going on
Not
right
too
now.
much. Okay.
I do have a drag competition that I started recently, which is very cool. It's just like online competition.
Online. Okay.
Yeah, people competing and stuff.
Where can people find that?
The drag tournament
The drag.
on Instagram.
Are there episodes? Is it like an episodic thing or
No, it follows the Instagram format.
Okay.
So
what is that? I don't know what that means.
so like the way that they like the pictures are posted. So basically it's like competitors are given a challenge. They have a certain amount of time to complete it in, and then once they're completed with it, they send us the pictures of them in the outfits. And then the judges critique them and give them verbal critiques like typed out, and then we'll give a score out of 10. And then there'll be 5 judges, 4 main judges, 1 guest judge each week. So that equals, and with each of them giving a score out of 10, that equals 50 at the end of the week. Whoever has the highest score is the winner of the challenge. And the 2 who have the lowest scores have to lip sync against one another. Whoever wins the lip sync gets to stay. Whoever loses goes home.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
And so it's all photos except for the lip
sync.
That's
those
live
are
or that's a video. Okay.
Those are live. And then, or not live, they're recorded videos. So what I do is, since nobody knows who's going to be going home until the results are actually posted, or who's going to be in the bottom until the results are actually posted, everybody has to film a lip sync and send in a lip sync.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And so they don't know who's going to be in the bottom until it actually happens. And they're like, oh, okay, well, there's my lip sync. There'll be times where, like, in other competitions where people will be like, oh, I wish I would have, like, put more into my lip sync because I would have stayed. Because they're like, oh, they'll be overly confident and be like, oh, I'm good. I did great this week. And then other people did better than them. And then all of a sudden they're in the bottom.
So it kind of incentivizes them to really
give it their all in
give
their
it their
lip syncs.
all
Yeah.
because they don't know who.
And I
going.
gave them great songs to lip sync to. Yeah.
How long have you been doing that?
I just started this.
I gotta check that out. That's
cool.
cool.
The season officially starts January 1st.
And how many contestants do you have?
12.
12. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Very exciting.
It starts January 1st.
January 1st.
So that's when you're going to be releasing
the first
stuff,
the first challenge. Yeah.
Okay.
And all of the pictures for it and everything. Yeah. It's very exciting. I
That's
can't
really
wait.
exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. Grand prize, $500. A custom styled wig by me. A pair of lashes, like false lashes, from like the biggest drag lash creator on Instagram, and then some cosmetics from a cosmetic company that I'm a fan of. And those 2 brands are donating these like the stuff to the prize package.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And no other competition, online competition of the magnitude that mine has offered like a cash prize of more than $100. And it's a lot of work to do a full season. It's like a lot of looks and stuff. And so having it be $500 for these people is very incentivizing.
So 15 people, how many challenges?
12.
12 challenges.
12 people, or no, 12 people, 8 challenges, 1 finale.
Okay. 12 people, 8 challenges, 1 finale.
Yep.
Oh, man.
Yes.
So that's something for people to look forward to now.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Skylynn. I had a great time talking with you.
Thank you. Yeah,
I really enjoyed it.
It was fun. We really got into stuff.
Yeah, we did.
We really did.
I think that's that's perfect because we've got a new studio, we've got new conversations. I think
Yeah.
that's all part of the fun.
And I've got a new gender.
It is the age of the new.
Yes.
That's how we're exiting 2021 and starting 2022.
Absolutely.
I think
Please.
we can get behind that.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, on that note, thank you for having me.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. Thank
It
you
was
for
so
coming
great.
on.
Yeah.
Thanks,
All right.
guys.